Chapter 1841. Not for any other reason. To be able to enjoy the respect of this race. To be able to obtain the best resources of this race. Of course, there is also the beautiful female dragon in this race. This is what he cares about the most. Ao Jean suddenly relaxes and asks loudly, "Many thanks, little brother. Then how should I address you in the future?" "You don't have to call me, just call him." Long Dade points at Jiang Chun and says, "I am his man. As long as you listen to him, I will help you." "How can I?" Ao Jean hurriedly turns his head to look at Jiang Chun. "I am the young master of 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect. If you want to join us, then call me young master." Jiang Chun crosses his legs and says indifferently. At the same time, he feels sad for Ao Jean's brain. He who possesses the pure bloodline of the heaven-swallowing golden dragon is sitting here, and he actually went to worship Long Dade. If he has a bit of brain, seeing Long Dade's silly look, he would know that it shouldn't be him. "You are 10,000 transformations?" Ao Jean is stunned. "That's right. Now that I have returned to the immortal world, I have re-established the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect." Jiang Chun can't be bothered to look at him as he plays with the storage ring on his finger and says, "Of course there is no problem. I agree to join the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect." Ao Jean does not hesitate. For the future of his race, not to mention joining the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect, he is even willing to commit suicide now. "Can I change your name?" Long Dade rubs his hands and asks excitedly. "Ah!" Ao Jean does not react. "You see, your surname is Ao, and we are both from the dragon race. Since I am called Long Dade, why don't you be called Ao Dade?" Long Dade does not care if Ao Jean agrees or not. "Young master, this." Ao Jean is in a difficult position. He has used this name for millions of years. To suddenly change his name, he is indeed used to it. And this name sounds very wise. You don't have to care about him. His brain has been stimulated recently. Jiang Chun knows that Ao Jean does not dare to reject Long Dade's words, so he directly says, "Ao clan leader, as long as you are wholeheartedly for my 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect, one day, I will let your void magic ancient dragon have pure bloodline power." "Thank you, young master. Thank you, Brother Dade." Ao Jean quickly cupped his hands and thanked him. However, when he saw Long Dade's reluctant expression, he laughed awkwardly. Jiang Chun rose to his feet and waved his hand. The barrier that Ao Jean had set up was broken. "Arrange 2 residences for me. I want to stay here for a few days and see what your race is like." Ao Jean was at the 5th level of the Immortal King realm, while he was at the 3rd level of the Immortal King realm. The reason why he could do this was because of the power of his bloodline. "No problem. I'll get the clansmen to clean it up." Ao Jean was so shocked that he didn't know what to do. Only now did he know how powerful the young master of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect was. He also knew why someone like Long Dade, who was recognized by the sect master, could follow Jiang Chun. Even a 7th-stage Immortal King wouldn't be able to break his barrier with a wave of his hand. However, Ao Jean was so excited that he didn't realize that it was impossible for a 3rd-stage Immortal Realm expert to break his bounded domain. "Does it feel good?" After Ao Jean left, Jiang Chun rolled his eyes at Long Dade. "I didn't expect him to think that it was me." Long Dade shrugged his shoulders. However, he immediately begged, "Please don't expose me. I'm still hoping to gain some benefits from this identity." "You'd better watch your actions. This isn't just the ancient dragon race. It's also a force under the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect. If you empty out this sect, you'll be losing the strength of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect." Jiang Chun patted the bulge on Long Dade's forehead from behind. "I'll watch my actions," Long Dade agreed. Under Ao Jean's arrangement, Jiang Chun and Long Dade stayed for the time being. At this moment, in a certain tribe, Ao Hung was checking the injuries on his body. His upper body was naked, and one could clearly see that his chest and back were almost covered in blood. Even though it was only a blow, Ao Jean's cultivation level was really too high. It was not something that he could withstand at all. Even so, this was still thanks to him cultivating the body, tempering, celestial technique of his clan. Otherwise, he would have been annihilated long ago. I really don't understand. The clan leader was clearly disdainful of them at the start. Why did he suddenly protect that mixed blood dragon when I was fighting with him? Ao Hung slammed his fist on the table. He had been thinking for a full 4 hours, but he still couldn't figure it out. He was known as the most talented disciple of the younger generation in the clan. In the clan, even some of the elders' positions were not as high as his. Ao Zhan had never attacked him before. At most, he would only reprimand him when he did something wrong. This was the first time he was beaten up. It was also because the mixed blood dragons outside had attacked him, making him a laughingstock in the clan. Perhaps the clan leader has ulterior motives. The clansmen who went out with him to pick up Long Dade stood at the side and treated his wounds. Ao Ting. Ao Hung sucked in a breath of cold air. Brother Hung, what are your orders? Ao Ting put down the medicine in his hand and walked in front of him. Later, go and find out if those 2 people have left the sect. If they have left, come back and tell me. I want to attack them outside. I can't let them leave just like that. Ao Hung looked at the long spear in front of him and said in a low voice, There's no need to find out. When I came here, I heard that they were going to stay here for 2 days. If you really want to attack them, you can't be in a hurry. Wait until they leave. Ao Ting continued to pick up the medicine and apply it to his wounds. Do I need you to teach me this? Ao Hung scolded in a low voice. Jiang Chun and Long Dade stayed for a total of 3 days. In these few days, Jiang Chun went around the ancient Fire Dragon clan one by one. He also tried to get information from Ao Zhan several times. However, no matter how he asked, there were no problems. In addition, because of the essence blood in his body, he could perfectly suppress this race. Jiang Chun did not investigate further and left with Long Dade. Before leaving, Ao Zhan said that on the day the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect announced the re-establishment of the sect, he would personally visit and express his identity and position. As soon as Jiang Chun and Long Dade left the boundary, Ao Hung followed. His injuries had almost recovered. Moreover, he believed that even if his injuries would affect his strength, his cultivation was far higher than Jiang Chun and Long Dade. Killing them would not be a problem at all. He's really haunting me. Sensing the aura behind him, Jiang Chun shook his head and sighed. Now the ancient dragon of Magic Void is a member of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal School. Do you still want to kill him? Long Dade wanted to kill Ao Hung very much, but since Jiang Chun was in the way, he had to make things clear first. Chapter 1842. Let's see what he's here for. Moreover, he's just a celestial venerable. It doesn't matter if he's dead, Jiang Chun said, stopping in his tracks. As soon as Jiang Chun finished speaking, Long Dade immediately turned around. The sky-breaking spear appeared in his hand. His aura soared, and he reached the first level of the immortal venerable realm in an instant. I didn't expect you to be able to sense me with your strength. Ao Hung was a little surprised, but since he had been discovered, there was no need to hide anymore. His figure appeared, and the spear in his hand was pointed at Long Dade. The last time we fought, the victor was not decided. This time, I will kill you with my own hands. Little dragon, come on. Seeing Jiang Chun's provocation, Long Dade didn't have to ask to know Jiang Chun's attitude. You don't have the patriarch to protect you now. Ao Hung was so angry that his lips were trembling. After saying that, he transformed into his dragon form and charged at Long Dade. Long Dade dared not let his guard down. He held the sky-breaking spear and charged forward. For a moment, there were fluctuations in the air. It was impossible for Ao Hung to defeat Long Dade with just his cultivation. Long Dade was also unable to launch a fatal attack on Ao Hung because his cultivation was weaker. The two of them fought back and forth. However, after 100 rounds, Jiang Chun frowned slightly. He could sense that Ao Hung's cultivation was gradually increasing from the 6th level of the Immortal Venerable Realm to the 8th level of the Immortal Venerable Realm. Long Dade was obviously no match for Ao Hung now that his strength had increased. Long Dade had been good at both offense and defense at the beginning, but now he could only defend himself with one hand, and he had almost been injured by his opponent. Jiang Chun couldn't bear it any longer. Crack! A formation fell. It trapped Ao Hung in it. Ha! You're only at the 3rd level of the immortal venerable realm. You're dreaming if you think you can trap me with a formation. Ao Hung was stunned. When he saw Jiang Chen forming a seal with his hands, he couldn't help but laugh out loud. Ao Hung raised the spear in his hand and threw it out confidently. However, the smile on his face disappeared when the spear came into contact with the barrier. In his imagination, the spear should have directly pierced through the barrier and killed Jiang Chen, who was standing not far away. But in reality, when the spear pierced the barrier, it fell to the ground. How is this possible? Ao Hung did not dare to believe that a formation cast by a 3rd-stage divine immortal could actually trap him. Ao Hung, you should know who I am, right? Jiang Chen looked at him and asked, so what if I know? Ao Hung took a deep breath and suppressed the shock in his heart as he said, isn't it just the young master of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect? I've already heard of him in my race. Since you know, then you also know that your ancient Dharma Void Dragon clan is already a clan under my 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect, right? Jiang Chen continued to ask. Impossible, Ao Hung immediately retorted. Seeing that you are the most talented of the younger generation in your clan and that we have no grudges, I can let you go if you take the initiative to apologize to me. Jiang Chen did not care about his reaction at all. Jiang Chen, you don't have to be an alarmist here. I'll break this barrier for you right away. Ao Hang's hand trembled and directly sucked the spear into his palm. Then he mobilized all his cultivation and fiercely blasted the barrier. The barrier shook. Ao Hung did not admit defeat and continued to attack the barrier. Once, twice, more than a dozen times. The barrier shook a little twice, indicating that his strength could still cause some damage, but there was still no sign of breaking through. Sigh. Jiang Chen sighed and gently pressed down with his palm. At the top of the barrier, dozens of immortal power suddenly poured down. This formation was used by Cho Su and the entire clan when he and Huoxian were in the Green Python Heavenly Snake clan. It trapped the 2 of them, the King's Slaying formation, before Gu Hua of the Jade Sword sect left. She gave this formation book and 2 other books to Jiang Chen. During this time, Jiang Chen had also thoroughly comprehended this formation book. Although it was not as advanced as the Soul Slaying formation, it was simpler and did not require too complicated control. When the immortal power blasted down, Ao Hung had already given up on breaking the formation and was constantly dodging these attacks. However, more and more attacks came, and in the end, he could not completely block them. Roar! A dragon's roar sounded. In desperation, Ao Hung could only transform into his true form. He knew that if he continued to be trapped inside, only death would await him. Sooner or later, he would be bombarded to death by these attacks. However, he was completely unable to break the formation and escape. When his true form appeared, his cultivation rose to the 9th level immortal supremacy. He tried again and gave up. Ao Hung stood in the middle of the formation with a long sword in his hand. No matter how the immortal power blasted his body, blood slowly flowed from the corner of his mouth. Young master, please have mercy. Ao Zhan hurriedly rushed out of the family and hurriedly shouted before he had arrived. Seeing that Ao Zhan had arrived, Jiang Chen stopped attacking, but still trapped him. Now that he had just taken in the Void Dharma Ancient Dragon clan, it was indeed not very good to kill the most talented clan member in the clan. This was also the reason why Jiang Chen had given Ao Hung a chance in the beginning. Clan leader Ao Zhan? Looking at the person who appeared in front of him, Jiang Chen asked with a smile. Young master, please let him go. Ao Zhan glared at Ao Hung, who was in the formation, and said to Jiang Chen with cupped fists, Ao Hung has always been conceited, but his nature is not bad. Moreover, he is the most talented clan member in our clan. In the future, he will definitely become one of the great experts of our 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect. It's really a pity to kill him like this. Clan leader Ao, I have already given him several chances. Now that we have left and chased after him, I have given him one more chance. My patience is also limited. Jiang Chen said in a low voice. Young master, I know. Please give him one last chance. I will definitely discipline him well. Ao Zhan smiled bitterly. All right, for the sake of clan leader Ao, I will give him one last chance. If he still does not know how to repent, clan leader Ao should not plead for him anymore. Jiang Chun let out a sigh of relief after his warning had been achieved. He removed the ward. Looking at the injured Ao Hung, Ao Zhan hurriedly went forward to help him up and berated, "Hurry up and apologize to the young master. If it wasn't for the young master's magnanimity, even I wouldn't have been able to save you today." Ao Hung shook off Ao Zhan's hand and stared at Jiang Chun for a while. After a while, he walked to Jiang Chun with his long spear and lowered his head. "Young master, I know I was wrong. In the future, I will never be disloyal. Go back. I hope you remember what you said to me today." Jiang Chun waved his hand. "Thank you for your mercy, young master. When the sect is established, I will definitely bring Ao Hung there." Chapter 1843. If anyone comes looking for trouble, just let him deal with it. Ao Zhan bowed at Jiang Chun. He didn't leave with Ao Hung until he had gotten his chi. "This little dragon person should be killed directly," Long Dade said as he walked over and looked at Ao Hung's back. "Only by combining kindness and power can we make the ancient Fanshu dragon tribe submit completely." Jiang Chun patted his shoulder. "If he dares to do this again, I will kill him directly." "Okay." Long Dade nodded. After transforming into his original form, he quickly left the southern region with Jiang Chun. Originally, he wanted to join the dragon tribe in the southern region. However, he did not expect the ancient Fanshu dragon to be a branch of the sky-devouring golden dragon. Moreover, he had Jiang Chun, who had the pure bloodline power of the sky-devouring golden dragon, by his side. Long Dade only hoped that one day, Jiang Chun would give him some of the bloodline power in his body. However, he was too embarrassed to say this out loud. When they returned to the northern region, it was nighttime again. Thinking that Xin Yu and Wei Yu would come when the sect was established, Jiang Chun did not go to the Kunlun Celestial Mountain. Instead, he went directly to the Divine Secrets Pavilion. So fast. Bai Xiaoyan was surprised to see Jiang Chun and Long Dade appear at the sect's entrance. Jiang Chun nodded and said casually in front of the hundreds of disciples on the training platform, "Yes, it was quite smooth. I took in the ancient Fanshu dragon, one of the 6 great spiritual beasts." "What did you say?" Bai Xiaoyan's mouth twitched. The last time he went to the southern region, he became the great elder of the bathed in flames Phoenix tribe and obtained the bloodline power of the tribe. This time, he took in the ancient Fanshu dragon again. If she did not know that Jiang Chun would not lie about such things, Bai Xiaoyan would not believe it. She even gradually understood why her master gave the position of sect leader to Jiang Chun. "I said that I've recruited the ancient Fanshu dragon into my 10,000 creations immortal sect," Jiang Chun said with a smile. Then, under the shocked gazes of the disciples, he continued, "Let me make an announcement. I will be establishing a new sect beside the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. The name of this new sect will be the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect. Sect Master, if you establish a new sect, does that mean you won't be the sect master of the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion anymore? Eldest senior brother, third senior sister, please persuade Brother Chun." The disciples were unable to accept this news. They all knew that only when Jiang Chun was the sect master of the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion would he have a good life. If he abdicated, he might be as poor as before. Bai Xiaolan stood nearby and looked at Jiang Chun. She was also afraid that Jiang Chun would leave the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. She was also afraid that she would not be able to explain things to her father. However, she did not say anything and waited for Jiang Chun to do so. "Everyone, don't worry. I just said that I will establish a new sect. It doesn't mean that I will no longer be the sect master of the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion." Seeing that they were so supportive of him, Jiang Chun exhorted them in his heart. At the very least, the billions of immortal jades he had brought back were not wasted. "So that's how it is? Then we support the sect master in establishing a new sect." Everyone shouted loudly. "Sixth senior brother." Jiang Chun looked at the man in white who was standing on the steps not far away. "Junior brother, what are your orders?" The 6th brother immediately rushed over. "I still have some things to deal with. I'll leave the establishment of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect to you. Jiangchen walked in front of him, closed his eyes, and put his finger on his forehead. Soon, the image of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect in his mind was transferred to his mind. 6. Senior brother, I'll have to trouble you to restore the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect according to my memory. Don't worry about the immortal jades. Jiangchen cupped his hands and said, Don't worry about leaving it to me, junior brother. The 6th brother patted his chest and guaranteed, If there are any discrepancies with the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect in your memory, you can come and find trouble with me. I don't dare. Jiangchen waved his hand and said with a smile. After handing over the matters of establishing the new sect, he returned to his room. In the entire Heavenly Secrets Pavilion, almost everyone knew about the relationship between Jiangchen and Bai Fengyu. So naturally, after Jiangchen left, Bai Fengyu moved into Jiangchen's room. Pushing open the door, Jiangchen took a deep breath. When he saw Bai Fengyu sitting on the bed, his gentle expression had a trace of unnaturalness. Because Huafu was also in the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. Why are you here? Jiangchen smiled and walked forward. Everyone in the sect knows about our relationship, and the mystic Moon Mountain Lord is not here. Why can't I come? Bai Fengyu smiled and looked at Jiangchen, as though she wanted to see through Jiangchen. Then, since she had already said this, Jiangchen did not have any more excuses. He only hoped that Huafu could be more magnanimous. All right, I'm just teasing you. Seeing that Jiangchen was in a difficult position, Bai Fengyu confirmed her thoughts. She stood up from the bed. You just came back from outside. I won't disturb your rest. Fengyu. Jiangchen stopped her. And? Bai Fengyu stopped at the door and turned around to ask, Do you know something? Jiangchen swallowed his saliva. I know everything that I should know. Bai Fengyu smiled faintly. What I should know, I don't know, and I'm not interested to know. Then, Jiangchen wanted to tell her the truth. Before he could say anything, Bai Fengyu did not give him a chance to speak and directly walked out of the room. Jiangchen sat on the bed where Bai Fengyu's warmth was still lingering. He couldn't blame Huafu for this matter. No matter what, he was still a man. Jiangchen couldn't do something like taking someone else's innocence and putting the blame on her. After thinking about it, Jiangchen could only blame himself. He blamed himself for not being able to control himself. He didn't think things through properly like Bai Fengyu, Huafu, and Mystic Moon. What's the difference between you and Long Dade? Jiangchen questioned himself. He then raised his hand and prepared to hit her. Forget it, forget it. I should rest. Just as he was about to hit her, Jiangchen stopped in time. The next day, early in the morning, Old Six had already left the sect. Even though he was an immortal king, he was unable to establish a sect with his immortal energy attribute. However, there was such a group of people in the immortal world. They had stone attribute immortal energy. Apart from their daily cultivation, the thing that these people did the most was to help people build their sects and repair their houses. Even though it went against the demeanor of cultivators, they still earned quite a bit of immortal jade. Some of the poorer sects would even specially recruit some stone attribute disciples and nurture them until they could use their immortal energy to transform into various stones. Then, they would start earning money to supplement the sect's expenses. Jiangchen woke up in the afternoon. 100 miles to the left of Tianji Pavilion, 10,000 Vehicle Immortal Sect had already started work. Chapter 1844. Time flew by. 3 months passed in a flash. The 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect was completed. The sudden appearance of a huge sect attracted the attention of many people. Some of them noticed that this sect was different. They found that this new sect was very similar to the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect that was destroyed by the 3 Immortal Kings a long time ago. The news spread quickly, and many people rushed over after hearing the news. In less than 3 days, almost the entire Immortal Realm knew about it, but they were just curious. Everyone knew that the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect no longer existed, and Wan Cheng was suppressed in the Kunlun Immortal Mountain. As for the ascended Wan Hua, his cultivation was so low that it was impossible for him to make a name for himself. The news spread in the North region. Naturally, it spread to the Jade Sword sect. Master, I just received news that the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect has reappeared. Xian Yi rushed into the hall with his sword on his back. Xian Jun spat out the tea in his mouth. Xian Yi, who was standing in front of him, caught it all. What did you just say? Xian Jun asked with his eyes wide open. Xian Yi wiped the tea off his face and repeated. There are rumors everywhere in the North region that the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect has reappeared, and some say that Wan Cheng escaped from the Kunlun Immortal Mountain long ago. Wan Cheng escaped from the Kunlun Immortal Mountain and made the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect reappear. Xian Jun repeated. But after he understood, he laughed loudly. This is probably fake news spread by someone who has nothing better to do. Wan Cheng was suppressed by me, by Xianling, and Gu Hua. How could he escape? If he could break the seal, he would have escaped long ago. How could he appear after such a long time? Xian Jun shook his head. This was the funniest joke he had ever heard. Master, what about the reappearance of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect? Xian Yi felt that Xian Jun's words made sense. How could a mere immortal monarch break the seal of the three immortal kings? Use your ass to think. With the 10,000 mounts sealed, Jiang Qin's cultivation is only at the immortal realm. Does he dare to establish a new sect? Xian Jun stood up and said with his hands behind his back, not to mention the three of us. As long as he dares to establish a sect, just those sects that the 10,000 creations immortal sect has offended before will be enough to make him suffer. I really don't know who spread such boring news, Xian Yi said. How about this? You go and see what's going on. No one would spread this kind of news for no reason. Although Xian Jun denied it, he still couldn't resist his curiosity. I'll go now. Xian Yi nodded and threw out the sword in his hand. He stepped on it and flew away. 2 hours later, Xian Yi returned. Am I right? Xian Jun said indifferently. Wan Cheng really hasn't appeared. He's still suppressed in Kunlun Celestial Mountain. Xian Yi's expression was complicated. Aha, immortal monarchs want to break our seal? What a fantasy! Xian Jun laughed heartily. Although Wan Cheng's strength is comparable to an immortal king's, all opportunities have long been sealed. But Master, although Wan Cheng's celestial monarchs haven't appeared, the Wan Cheng celestial sect has indeed been established. Xian Yi didn't want to tell the truth when he saw Xian Jun's smug look. However, if he didn't tell the truth, he was afraid that Xian Jun would vent his anger on him when he heard the news. What? Xian Jun was stunned. It's established by Jiang Chun, and the location of the Wan Cheng celestial sect is very close to the Heaven Secret Pavilion. Xian Yi decided to tell the whole story in one go. According to our information, Jiang Chun is not only the pavilion master of the Heaven Secret Pavilion, but also the alliance leader of the Overseas Immortal Mountain Alliance. I'm afraid it's not easy to deal with him there. No matter where his sect is, it's not easy to deal with him. Xian Jun narrowed his eyes. Jiang Chen's action was beyond his expectation. Since Jiang Chun had shown his strength in the sect, he had decided not to fight with him again. However, even if he didn't do anything, it didn't mean that others wouldn't. Why? Xian Yi was confused. He still hated Jiang Chun very much. He has the protection of Bai Xianling and Gu Hua, and Xian Jun was about to mention Zhou Kunlun, but he stopped halfway and said, Who do you think can touch him? Are we really going to let him establish the Wan Cheng celestial sect? Xian Yi was not convinced. He even wanted to go to the sect and kick it down. Let's wait and see. Given his relationship with Nian Chang'e, he will definitely inform us after the sect is established. Let's go and see what's going on then. Xian Jun pondered for a while. Okay, Master. Xian Yi agreed. Go and do your thing. Remember to pay attention to the news outside. If there's anything about the Wan Cheng celestial sect, tell me immediately. Xian Jun reminded Xian Yi when he walked out of the hall. Under the gaze of almost the entire North region, the Wan Cheng celestial sect was completely established. Jiang Chun spent nearly 2 months and nearly 5 billion immortal jades to restore the sect to its original state. Even the table and the chair were almost the same as Jiang Chun's memory. When the last thing was placed, Jiang Chun sat on the stone steps in silence as he looked at the brand-new Wan Cheng celestial sect. When he ascended from the lower realm, He carried the heavy responsibility of restoring the glory of the Wansheng celestial sect. And by then, this school didn't just contain Jiang Qin's earliest will. Among them, it also had the responsibility of reviving the Qianyi sect. Bai Xiaoyan sat beside Jiang Qin and looked at the reappearance of the Wansheng celestial sect. She could imagine how glorious this sect was in the immortal realm. If it wasn't for that incident, it should be one of the top sects in the immortal realm. Is it all packed? Bai Xiaoyan threw her sword aside and asked. Yes, it's all packed. Jiang Qin nodded. From now on, if anyone dares to harm the Wansheng celestial sect, I will not rest until he or she is dead. Don't worry. With the Intelligence Pavilion's help, what happened to the 10,000 creations of mortal school won't happen again. Bai Xiaoyan comforted Jiang Qin when she saw him in such a bad mood. But when she said it, she felt that something was wrong. With the Divination Pavilion, wasn't it the sect master of the Divination Pavilion, the white-robed immortal king, who did it? Jiang Qin didn't care, but stood up and said in a deep voice, Eldest senior brother, I want to ask you to do me a favor. Just tell me. Bai Xiaoyan also stood up. I'll trouble you and the other brothers of the Divination Pavilion to send the news to all the sects and clans that have a good relationship with us. Tell them to gather here in 30 days. I want the immortal realm to see what kind of strength the Wansheng celestial sect has after I, Jiang Qin, ascended. Jiang Qin took a deep breath and said slowly. Chapter 1845. All the disciples of the Divine Secret Pavilion were dispatched. North Region, South Region, East Region, more than a dozen sects and families received the news of Jiang Qin almost immediately. And without a doubt, they all agreed. At the same time, Jiang Qin also released the news. After 30 days, the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect would reappear in the immortal world, and everyone was welcome to visit. This news caused an even greater uproar when it came out. Although they all knew about the situation of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect before, but that was only what they saw. And now, Jiang Qin, the young master of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect, had personally admitted it. This was undoubtedly a heavy bomb in the immortal world. Another 30 days passed quietly. At the entrance of the sect, the disciples of the Divine Secret Pavilion and the people of the overseas Immortal Mountain gathered, and some of the nearby sects had also gathered here early. However, this group of people only watched the situation from afar and did not dare to approach at all. Near noon, the outside of the sect was already crowded with onlookers. When they saw that there were nearly 30 immortal kings beside Jiang Qin, they all resisted the urge to cry out in alarm, so as to avoid being looked down upon by the people around them. No one expected that Jiang Qin would be able to pull so many experts in such a short time after ascending to the immortal world. Among these sects and itinerant cultivators, besides being shocked, there were some who were envious, some who affirmed Jiang Qin and the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect, and some who were jealous. The 9 mountain masters of the Kunlun Immortal Mountain in the North Region have arrived. With long-dayed shout, everyone hurriedly raised their heads. In midair, a number of biting cold auras could be felt. Under everyone's gaze, 9 figures appeared uniformly in front of the sect gate. Mountain masters, in front of so many people, Jiang Qin stepped forward and cupped his hands in salute. Please come in, Bai Xiaoyan also said, including Xin Yu and Wei Yu. The 9 of them did not speak and directly entered the sect. I heard that Jiang Qin was once a disciple of the Kunlun Immortal Mountain, but later was kicked out for some reason. I didn't expect that the 9 mountain masters would come to support him now. Sighs and sighs could be heard. Eastern Region Thousand Harmony sects Grand Elder Su Qian and Second Elder Su Yundian have arrived. Long Dade looked at the name list in his hand and combined it with the look Jiang Yuan gave him. He could tell who had arrived. Thousand Harmony sect. Has this sect not interacted with the outside world for a long time? Compared to the Kunlun Immortal Mountain, Su Qian's arrival here shocked them even more. No matter what, Jiang Qin used to be a disciple of the Kunlun Celestial Mountain. Although it was strange for the 9 mountain lords to come here, it was still somewhat understandable. However, it was unacceptable for them to come from a sect in the Eastern Domain Here comes Citra Clan, Netherworld Gang, and Fire Dragon Hall. The Northern Region's Celestial Palace has arrived. Long Dade's voice continued to ring out. As he spoke, powerful auras appeared one after another at the entrance of the sect. First, Elder Lin Baichao of the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy has arrived. Master Song Yuanjia of the Ganges Bank has arrived. Manor Master Wei Dason of the Heaven Province Bank has arrived. When this group of people heard Long Dade's voice, they were almost numb. Everyone present was quite famous. But now they had all gathered at the 10,000 Creations Immortal Sect. They didn't even need to think about it. Even though this sect had just been established, it was already a super sect that had a great influence in the whole North Field, and even in the Immortal Realm, because of its connections and the Immortal Kings next to Jiangchun. Master Huixian of the Fire Phoenix Clan of the Southern Region has arrived. Master Ao Zhan of the Ancient Void Dragon Clan of the Southern Region has arrived. If they were just numb before, now they were a little numb. Forget about the forces in the Northern and Eastern domains. Now even 2 of the 6 great spiritual beasts of the Southern Region had come. This kind of network was beyond their imagination. Master of the Jade Sword Sect, one of the 3 Immortal Kings, Immortal King Xianjun, has arrived. However, another sentence made them completely dumbfounded. 3 long swords swept down from the sky. The ones flying on the swords were Xianjun, Xianyi, and Xianair. Oh my god! Even Immortal King Xianjun can be invited? No. As far as I know, the destruction of the 10,000 Creations Immortal Sect and the suppression of the 10,000 Creations Immortal Duke were caused by these 3 Immortal Kings. This Xianjun is the culprit. Why is he here? Look at the people around Jiangchun. I'm afraid even Xianjun has to be wary of him. Do you want to die by discussing this? If Immortal King Xianjun hears this, you won't live past tonight. When Xianjun appeared, the onlookers outside were all in an uproar. Now that nearly 1/3 of the experts in the immortal world had gathered at Jiang Chen's place, who else in the immortal world could do this? Young friend Jiang Chen, we meet again. Xianjun looked at Jiang Chen. After sensing that there was no aura of Bai Xianling and Guhua, he asked with a smile, "It's such an important day to show the strength of the 10,000 Creations Immortal Sect to the immortal world. Why aren't your 2 masters here?" Immortal King Xianjun, you should know that my 2 masters don't like to show their faces in public, Jiang Chen replied with a faint smile. Xianjun did not care about the meaning of Jiang Chen's words. You really surprised me. I didn't expect you to have so much power to gather so many experts here. It's all because of the senior's care, Jiang Chen replied casually. Let's go and take a look at the new 10,000 Creations Immortal Sect. Xianjun walked past Jiang Chen and said, "If nothing goes wrong, this sect will become a top sect in the immortal world in the future. We won't come here again. Be careful." Xian Yi and Xian Air threatened Jiang Chen in unison when they walked past him. However, Jiang Chen completely ignored them, as if he did not hear them at all. "They're not here?" Jiang Chen asked. "Aren't you here?" Long Dade looked at the name of the sect on the list and asked. Basically, all the sects and families on the list were here. Only the Love Valley was here. Sect leader Wang Min? Looking at the name, Long Dade fell into deep thought. Based on his experience of following Jiang Chen for so many years, as well as the expression and tone of Jiang Chen when he spoke to him, he could guess without any analysis. There was definitely something going on between Jiang Chen and the Lord of the Love Valley. Forget it if they're not here. Jiang Chen had a premonition in his heart. However, he was a little disappointed when it turned out to be true. Those who could be invited were all here, and he had maintained his face. He wanted to let the immortal world see how strong he was after he ascended. However, just as Jiang Chen was about to enter and introduce everyone, he suddenly heard an angry roar. "Xianjun, stand out for me." Huixian stood on the stone steps of the main hall and roared. "I can already sense your aura. Don't be a coward and make me look down on you." Chapter 1846. Jiang Chen hurriedly asked the people of the Divine Secret Pavilion to close the sect door. "Isn't this the clan leader of the Flame-Bathing Phoenix clan?" Huixian, being called out in front of so many experts. Even if Xianjun was not afraid of Huaxian, he still felt embarrassed. That's right, it's me, Immortal King Xianjun, in front of these experts invited by Jiangchun. Tell us why you stole the corpse of our flame-bathing Phoenix clan's ancestor and even took out his inner core. Where's the inner core? Hand it over. For Jiangchun's sake, I can pretend that nothing happened. Huaxian walked down and stared at Xianjun. He did not want to fall out with Xianjun on this day, but when he sensed Xianjun's cultivation, he could not help it. After all, the ancestor's corpse had been refined and stolen. No one would be able to accept this. Su Qian and the others, who knew that Jiangchun was from the flame-bathing Phoenix clan, remained silent. The best way now was to let Xianjun and Huaxian settle it themselves. However, when they sensed that the atmosphere was getting more and more subtle, everyone left quietly. Everyone here was related to Jiangchun. If they continued to stay here, a more serious conflict might break out and even embarrass Jiangchun. In just a few seconds, everyone had disappeared without a trace. Only Jiangchun by Xiaoyun, Huafu, Huaxian, Xianjun, and his two sword disciples were left. Clan leader Huaxian, today is a good day for the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect. If you have anything to say, we can talk about it after today. There's no need to argue here. Xianjun suppressed his anger and pretended to be calm. Young master, what do you think? Without anyone else, Huaxian did not care about that anymore. You called him young master? Xianjun frowned. He did not expect this form of address. My daughter, Huafu, is the sect guarding spiritual beast of Emperor Qinji. You should know, right? Huaxian sneered. He had said that because he knew that it wouldn't cause any trouble after he said it. I know, Xianjun replied. Jiangchun is the inheritor who has been recognized by Emperor Qinji. Do you think I should call him young master? Huaxian walked towards Xianjun step by step. A huge phoenix phantom appeared behind him. The purpose of this action was very obvious. That was, if Xianjun did not give him a satisfactory answer today, then it would be impossible for him to leave the matter at that. Huaxian, don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you are the leader of the Bathing Flame Phoenix clan. In the current immortal world, the cultivation of the three immortal kings is still at the top. Mystic 1 and Mystic 2 stood on either side of Xianjun. As the two of them spoke, the seals in their hands changed constantly, and tens of long swords appeared in the sky. Like a torrential downpour, they rained down on the sect and floated behind them. You really got the recognition of Monarch Qinji. Xianjun turned to look at Jiangchun. He had also been to the Immortal Emperor's tomb when it first appeared. On the surface, he argued with Jiangchun and left after confronting Su Qian. But in fact, he ordered Mystic 1 to observe nearby. When he knew that Jiangchun finally came out of the tomb and even brought out two powerful spirit beasts, Xianjun had this feeling. It was only today that he was completely sure. Fortunately, I got the recognition of Emperor Qinji, so I got the title of Young Master of Tianji's sect. Jiangchun shrugged and took 2 steps back. He was not going to intervene in today's matter. You two don't do anything. Step aside, Xianjun said in a low voice. Yes, Master. Mystic 1 and Mystic 2 retreated. I really didn't expect that I would be forced to this point. Xianjun sneered and looked at Huaxian. Huaxian, do you really want to know? Yes. As long as Immortal King Xianjun tells me the truth, I will not pursue this matter. Huaxian nodded and said in a deep voice. You took my ancestor's inner core. Are you not even willing to tell me what you did with it? Okay. I once told Jiangchun that if you want to know what I did with the inner core, let the patriarch of the Bathing Flame Phoenix clan ask in person. Since you are here today, then I will say it. However, Patriarch Huaxian, let's talk in private. After saying this, Xianjun soared into the sky and entered the main hall of the sect. Seeing this, Huaxian directly followed. Jiangchun sighed helplessly. I'm sorry. Huafu walked in front of Jiangchun, lowered her head, and gently tugged at the corner of Jiangchun's clothes. I didn't expect father to ask in front of so many people. It's okay, I can understand. Jiangchun smiled and reached out to touch her head. If he encountered this kind of thing, he would ask clearly regardless of the occasion. If he pretended that nothing had happened, It would not affect others, but there was no way to explain to his heart, and no way to explain to the ancestor. Father even told him your identity. Huafu lowered her head even more. It doesn't matter. With Xian Jun's ability, I'm afraid he has already guessed it when you and Zhang Yuan have been following me. Now that the patriarch of Huaxian said it personally, it's only a matter of time. Jiang Chen shook his head. Hearing Jiang Chen's words, Huafu felt much better. Sensing that those people were hiding in various parts of the sect, Jiang Chen called Long Day to his side and asked forces like the Citra family and Underworld gang to return for the time being. About half an hour later, the door of the main hall suddenly opened. Xian Jun stepped on his long sword and rushed out. Watching him leave, Xian Yi and Xian Er glared at Jiang Chun and followed on their swords. In the main hall, Jiang Chun called Su Qian, Lin Baichao, Xian Yu, and Wei Yuan. These people were all people that Jiang Chun absolutely trusted. Sitting inside, Jiang Chun felt a little uncomfortable. Sitting on his left was Huafu, on his right was Bai Fengyu, and opposite him was Xian Yu. These three women were now gathered in one place. Feeling the killing intent in their eyes, Jiang Chun couldn't help but shiver. Everyone, I'm really sorry. The matter of our Bathing Flame Phoenix clan has affected everyone. Huaxian stood in the middle and apologized to everyone. Patriarch of Huaxian, did Xian Jun tell you? Jiang Chen asked impatiently. He told me the truth. Huaxian nodded. This matter will end here. I won't mention it again in the future. I hope everyone won't take it to heart. Patriarch of Huaxian, please take a seat. Jiang Chen got up and quickly left the encirclement of the three. As the young master of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect, and now in the sect, Jiang Chen walked to the main seat and sat down. Now, the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect has reappeared in the immortal world. Chapter 1847. And I am not only the young master of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect, but also the young master of the Tianji sect. Everyone here is very trusted by me, Jiang Chun. In the future, we are bound to advance and retreat together, so I will tell you the truth. Jiang Chen pondered for a while and got up. The Kunlun Immortal Mountain, where the Xinyuan Mountain Lord and Weiyuan Mountain Lord are, the Fire Phoenix Clan, where the Fire Phoenix Clan is, and the absent Dharma Void Ancient Dragon Clan, including the Citra Clan, the Underworld Gang, and the Fire Dragon Hall, all belong to my 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect. The Heaven and Earth Pharmacy, where Elder Lin Baichao is, and the Ganges Bank in the northern region, because of my identity as the young master of the Thousand Mounts sect, will appear in the sect today. While Jiang Chen was talking, everyone got to know each other. Only one person sat on the bench and did not get up for a long time. Great Elder. Seeing Su Qian's strange look, Jiang Chen quickly stepped forward and asked softly. Among these people, Jiang Chen respected him the most. The Thousand Mounts sect and the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect had nothing to do with each other. But Su Qian helped him without hesitation and even offended the Black Gate sect master and Xian Jun Immortal King. I'm fine, I just suddenly feel a little uncomfortable. Su Qian waved to Jiang Chun and then gasped for breath. Do you want me to help you to rest? Jiang Chun reached out and held his arm. Okay. With the help of Jiang Chun, Su Qian stood up. After everyone in the hall saw this, they stopped talking and stared at him worriedly. Everyone, this old man is still old, and recently, I'm not feeling well. I'm sorry to disturb everyone's mood. Su Qian bowed slightly and said in a hoarse voice, Great Elder Su should go to rest quickly. Supporting Su Qian, he walked out of the hall and went to the guest room not far away. Jiang Chun did not leave, but stood by the bed and waited quietly. Jiang Chun, you should go back as well. Now that all the experts have gathered here, you are the young master of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect and the young master of the Thousand Harmonies sect. How can you leave halfway? Su Qian smiled at Jiang Chun and said, Great Elder, if you need anything, just say the word. I can rush over at any time. Jiang Chun hesitated for a moment before nodding and leaving the room. After lying on the bed for a while, tears flowed out of Su Qian's eyes. Even his body was trembling uncontrollably due to his emotions. As a subsect of the Qianji sect, only the sect master could take the initiative to contact the Qianji emperor. even he had never been to the sect. After the great battle, the sect master went into seclusion to recuperate from his injuries, and he supported the entire Thousand Harmony sect, and to find the whereabouts of the surviving members of the Tianji zone. However, hundreds of thousands of years had passed, and under the premise of not exposing his identity, he had never been able to find any information. He had even thought that only their subsect had luckily survived. However, just now, Jiang Qin actually said that the Ganges Bank and the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy were the same as him, the surviving forces of the sect. For a time, Su Qian was surprised and happy. He felt that the knot in his heart had finally been untied. He was also happy that other than their Thousand Harmony sect, there were others who would spare no effort to help Jiang Qin. The complex emotions made him unable to bear it, and he fell ill. Is Great Elder Su Qian all right? Seeing Jiang Qin return to the main hall, everyone hurriedly asked. It's nothing, just a little uncomfortable, Jiang Qin said. I really didn't expect that the Thousand Harmony sect, which has nothing to do with us, would repeatedly help the young master. If possible, we can directly pull him to our 10,000 Creations Immortal sect. I'm afraid that the strength of the Immortal sect will undergo a qualitative change. From the conversation just now, Huixian also understood the situation. Yes, it is said that his cultivation is not much weaker than the three immortal kings. Lin Baichao held his hands behind his back. When the Ganges Bank and the Tianfu Bank had a conflict, I once saw a great elder Su Qian fight with immortal king Xian Jun. Bai Xiaoyan followed suit. Oh! Everyone's gaze converged. Even Xian, you slightly glanced sideways. After all, everyone present only knew of Xian Jun's strength and heard of Su Qian's cultivation. They had never fought with either of them. They both had their wins and losses. Great Elder Su Qian was beaten until his qi and blood surged and retreated. Although Xian Jun was slightly better, his aura was also fluctuating. Bai Xiaoyan recalled and said, Find an opportunity to fan the flames. Since Great Elder Su Qian is so good to you, he should agree. Huixian's voice was like a deep bell, as if he was giving Jiang Qin an order. I'll try my best. Jiang Qin smiled. By the way, White Immortal King, I remember that the sect leader of your Heavenly Secrets Pavilion is also the young master, right? Lin Baichao looked at Bai Xiaoyan and asked, Yes, not only our Heavenly Secrets Pavilion, but even the alliance leader of the Overseas Immortal Mountain Alliance is his. Bai Xiaoyan nodded. I think it's better to merge your Heavenly Secrets Pavilion into the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect. This way, it will be more convenient for the young master to manage. Lin Baichao stroked his white goatee and said, I'm afraid that's not possible. Bai Xiaoyan rejected firmly. If Bai Xianling returned, not only would she see the reappearance of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect, but even the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion would be gone. All the disciples of the pavilion would be under Jiang Qin. She would probably go crazy on the spot. Elder Lin, the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion is the sect of Big Senior Brother's father. Many of the disciples in the pavilion have deep feelings for the previous sect leader. If we were to merge into the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect, I'm afraid the disciples would disagree. Jiang Qin quickly stood out and explained. Then let's find an opportunity. Lin Baichao signaled to Jiang Qin with his eyes. Understood. Jiang Qin instantly understood and nodded slightly at him. After chatting for a while in the main hall, everyone left one after another. Those who were here were either the clan leader or the sect leader. Each of them had countless matters to attend to. Xian Yu, Wei Yu, and the other mountain lords were the first to leave. Huixian also returned to the southern region with A.O. Zhan. Lin Baichao and Song Yuanzhe went to the Ganges Bank, and the others gradually left. After sending them off, Jiang Qin went to Su Qian's room again. Why are you here again? After resting for a while, Su Qian obviously felt more comfortable. When he saw Jiang Qin coming in from outside, he asked with some dissatisfaction. They've all left. Jiang Qin sat on the bed and said, I really didn't expect that. When I first met you, you were just a level 3 true immortal kid. I didn't expect you to grow so fast in the blink of an eye. Even 2 of the spiritual beast clans in the southern region have joined you. They're the most powerful ones, the bathed in fire phoenix clan, and the Fanshu ancient dragon. Looking at the skinny young man beside him, Su Qian couldn't help but reach out and pat his shoulder. Chapter 1848. If it weren't for Great Elder's repeated help, I'm afraid I would be long gone. Recalling his experience in the eastern region, Jiang Chen smiled and said, "In fact, even without me, there would be others who would help you." Su Qian sat up from the bed and said, "Now, you can be considered as a true expert. Even the experts you can mobilize now can fight against the 3 immortal kings. I have also heard some things about the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect." "Grand Elder, what do you know?" Jiang Chen asked immediately. "I vaguely know. As far as I know, the 3 immortal kings just wanted to suppress your father, but the sect resisted fiercely, so they had to resort to a bad plan." The Great Elder said in a low voice, knowing that Jiang Chen would definitely feel uncomfortable talking about this matter. But now that the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect had been established, it was inevitable to face these old matters directly. Yes, with the strength of the 3 immortal kings, they had the ability to directly kill my father, but they didn't have the intention to kill him. They just sealed my father in the Kunlun Immortal Mountain. Jiang Chen nodded and said, "Back then, he had no chance to investigate the incident at all. And at that time, he didn't know by Xianling or Guhua, but in by Xuanling's words. The 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect was destroyed, his father was suppressed, and it was caused by the heavenly Tao. They had no choice but to do so. Even now that he had ascended, the fate of the 3 immortal kings was firmly tied to him. This made Jiang Chen feel very strange. Now, the only one that the 3 immortal kings can see and touch is Immortal King Xianjun," Su Qian continued. "Do you want to go directly to him and ask the reason for that incident?" "No." Jiang Chen shook his head very firmly. Then he told Su Qian all the news he got in the western region. "Black Sky Emperor is resurrected." Su Qian was shocked after hearing it. That seems to be the case for now, and if my guess is right, Hikari should be the most crucial part of the resurrection of Black Sky Emperor. As for him saying that he needs my soul to make a deal, or even to use it as a bargaining chip, I guess. Jiang Chen narrowed his eyes and gradually deduced according to the clues he knew. The more he knew, the clearer the path before Jiang Chen's eyes became. "Guess what?" Seeing Jiang Chen pause, Su Qian asked. "Nothing." Jiang Chen shook her head. She didn't want to expose her mother's situation for the time being, even if the person in front of her was Su Qian, a person who had poured out his heart and lungs to help her. This news really caught me off guard. When Black Sky Emperor left the Qinji zone, he should have been seriously injured. It was almost certain that he had fallen. Su Qian also fell into deep thought. Oh, how does Great Elder know that Black Sky Emperor is seriously injured? Jiang Chen frowned slightly. He remembered that he had never mentioned this situation, except for himself. "I am afraid that no one else has the ability to enter the deepest part of the Immortal Emperor Tomb enchantment. Otherwise, the identity of the young master would not fall on his own head." "Didn't you say resurrection?" "The only possibility is that he was seriously injured when he fought with Qinji Emperor. Am I wrong?" Su Qian smiled. "Yes, it's true." Jiang Chen nodded and responded. "As the master of Hikari, you have to find a way to save her from the hands of the Black Sky Emperor before she is in danger. And you, as the young master of the Qinji Zone, have to stop the resurrection of Black Sky Emperor. After all, if he is resurrected, let's not talk about whether the immortal world will suffer. The first one who will suffer is you, the young master." Seeing Jiang Chen dispel his doubts, Su Qian continued. "Yes, that's right." Jiang Chen shrugged helplessly. "I didn't expect that these things would all be pressed on you." Su Qian looked at Jiang Chen with some heartache. "Don't worry, kid. I will always stand behind you. Qinna sect will always be your backing." "Great Elder, I have always had a question." Jiang Chen hesitated for a while, but still asked. This question had been in his heart for a long time, but he had never had a suitable opportunity to ask. Now it was time to ask. "Ask. I'll see if I know." Su Qian said, "I just met you once at the auction, and then cooperated in the Immortal Emperor Tomb. You are not a member of the Qinji Zone. nor are you a subordinate force of our 10,000 mounts immortal sect. Why would you help me at all costs? Blackgate Sect Master, Xian Jun Immortal King. These are all existences that others avoid. Jiangchen looked at Su Qian and slowly spoke out all the doubts in his heart. Is this your question? Hearing Jiang Chen's words, Su Qian shook his head and then laughed. In the end, he kept hammering his chest with his hand. Don't tell me that Great Elder doesn't think that you are too good to me? Jiang Chen frowned and said, You brat, it's not good for someone to be good to you. You still have to get to the bottom of it. It's really strange. After laughing, Su Qian slowly said, But I'm very curious. Great Elder doesn't need to take these risks for me. Jiang Chen's eyes were firm. Today he had to ask the answer. Do you really want to know? Seeing Jiang Chen's unrelenting expression, the Great Elder asked. Yes. Jiang Chen nodded. Well, since you want to know so much, then I'll tell you. I'm good to you for two reasons. First, I feel that you have a good character and your talent is very high. At my age, I'm no longer interested in cultivation. I also know that my cultivation has reached its limit, so I want to do my best to nurture you and see how far you can go. Protecting you is also for this reason. Although you are not my disciple, my feelings for you are that of a master's disciple. You can't deny this, right? Under Jiang Chen's gaze, Su Qian said, Actually, in my heart, I also treat Great Elder as a master. Jiang Chen was touched. Second, I told you before in the sect that if I help you, then if our China sect encounters trouble in the future, you have to help. Kid, don't tell me you regret it. Su Qian held back his sour tears, took a deep breath, and continued. Of course not, but judging from the Grand Elder's strength, I don't think the China sect will run into any trouble, Jiang Chen said. Haha, who can say for sure what will happen in the immortal world? Emperor Qinji's cultivation is very high, but he still fell to the point of death. Even his sect was completely destroyed. I am not an immortal emperor. How can I guarantee my safety? Su Qian said. Chapter 1849. As it turns out, I was indeed the one who profited from the agreement I made with you back then. Now there are more and more experts around you. In the future, if our Thousand Harmony sect is in danger, you must not let it go. A smile appeared on Su Qian's face again. What are you talking about? I'm the same as the Great Elder. If the Thousand Harmony sect is in trouble, I will gather all the strength I can mobilize to help. Everyone who is here today and those who are not, other than Xian Jun, will appear. Jiang Chun put his hand on his chest and said, Well, with your words, I'm relieved. Su Qian replied with satisfaction. Then, Great Elder, you should recuperate first. There are still some things in the sect that I need to deal with. After getting the answer to the question that had been in his heart for a long time, Jiang Chun relaxed a lot. Go. Su Qian nodded. After Jiang Chun left, Su Qian couldn't help but shake his head and say to himself, This silly boy, I really don't know what kind of expression he will have when he finds out that Thousand Harmony sect is a branch of Thousand Revolution sect. Leaving the guest room, Jiang Chen walked to the door with his hands behind his back. Most of the experts from the northern and eastern regions that had gathered here had already left. They already knew the strength of this new 10,000 mounts immortal sect. Almost everyone secretly decided that in the future, they must avoid these sects that were present today. If they were careless and offended one, it meant offending more than a dozen clans and sects, dozens of immortal kings, and even hundreds of immortal monarchs. Now you have finally completed the first step. Behind him, a soft voice sounded. Well, but this is only the first step. There is still a long way to go in the future. Jiang Chun turned his head and held Bai Fengyu in his arms. Don't feel too much pressure. We will always stand behind you and share your pressure and responsibility. Bai Fengyu leaned in Jiang Chen's arms. Thank you for being here. Jiang Chen put his chin on her head and said softly as he smelled the faint fragrance of her hair. Feeling Jiang Chen's warm and powerful embrace, Bai Fengyu hesitated for a moment before saying, I know about Sister Huofu's matter. I can guess. Jiang Chen took a deep breath. When you returned from the southern region, your body contained the pure bloodline power of the Blazing Phoenix tribe. For an outsider to obtain it, they must have used some special methods. It's not like we haven't encountered them when we were in the lower realms. Bai Fengyu didn't have too many emotional fluctuations. She knew that Jiang Chun had too many burdens on his shoulders. So, before she told Jiang Chun about it, she had already convinced herself to accept it completely. At that time, I didn't know either. Jiang Chun's words were pale. What about the mystic Moon Mountain Lord? Bai Fengyu suddenly raised his head and stared at Jiang Chun. Looking at Bai Fengyu's exquisite face and beautiful eyes, Jiang Chun didn't want to explain. I can accept them. I also know that I can't have you completely, but you have to promise me one thing. You have to treat me well in the future and don't forget me. Without waiting for Jiang Chun to speak, Bai Fengyu continued. Fengyu, why are you saying this? Jiang Chun asked with some heartache. I'm just saying. Bai Fengyu once again shrank into Jiang Chun's embrace and said, however, although I can accept Sister Huafu and the mystic Moon Mountain Lord, if you dare to provoke other women, I will cut off your thing. Hiss! Jiang Chun sucked in a breath of cold air. Bai Fengyu's calm tone made him feel real pressure. Even when facing Xian Jun and the Black Sect's sect master, Jiang Chun wasn't this afraid. Seems like you still have other sisters. Let me guess. Is it the Valley Master of Love Despair Valley, Wang Min, or Sister Nalan who ascended to their sect, or perhaps Senior Sister by Xiaolan from the pavilion? Hearing Jiang Chun's hesitation, he didn't immediately agree. Bai Fengyu instantly escaped from his embrace. With her hands on her hips, she pointed at Jiang Chun and questioned. Jiang Chun was originally feeling a little guilty, but after hearing Bai Xiaolan's name, he instantly jumped and hurriedly waved his hand to deny. Fengyu, I don't have any feelings for her. Who? Sect Master Wang Min, or Senior Sister Bai Xiaolan? Bai Fengyu tilted her head. I'm not interested in any of them. I promise you. Jiang Chun had no choice but to agree. I also heard Sister Fengyu. Huafu swayed her slender waist and walked over. Holding hands with Bai Fengyu, she stood opposite Jiang Chun. If you still dare to have any thoughts about other women, without waiting for Sister Fengyu to make a move, I'll directly bombard your private part with immortal energy. When did you all join forces? Jiang Chun wanted to cry, but had no tears. Huafu was immensely proud of herself. But halfway through the conversation, the two immediately let go of each other. Is this the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect? A large saber fell from the sky, and immediately a burly figure stepped on the back of the saber. After he landed, over 100 more people came in unison. This group of people directly surrounded the main gate. Where did this trash come from? Huafu instantly became cold and arrogant. When she sensed that the strongest person among them was only a third-layer immortal monarch, she mocked. Who are you calling trash? Little girl, your mouth is so poisonous, but your looks are not bad. Later, we'll capture you and teach you a good lesson. You can let our brothers have some fun. Hearing Huafu's scolding, this group of people couldn't bear it anymore. They came too late and didn't know that there were some experts in the sect just now. And now, they only sensed that Jiang Chun was a third-layer immortal monarch and Huafu was a first-layer immortal monarch. In their eyes, this strength was simply not enough. Then let this old lady see if you have the ability to capture me and teach me a lesson. Huafu was also quite angry at their dirty words. The phantom of a phoenix gradually appeared behind her. Bai Fengyu was also prepared to fight with them. Let me handle such a small matter. Jiang Chun stretched out his hands and put them on Bai Fengyu and Huafu's shoulders. He said with a smile, I'm the young master of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect. Now that someone is causing trouble in front of the sect, how can I let you handle it? I'm the sect master of the Soul Saber sect, Han Mieling. The third-layer immortal monarch raised his saber and said to Jiang Chun, Han Mieling. Jiang Chun smacked his tongue and said, the name is good, but your cultivation is too low. I'm afraid you don't deserve this name. A mere third-layer immortal monarch dares to talk nonsense in front of me? Han Mieling sneered. An immortal monarch cultivator dared to act tough in front of him. This was simply the funniest joke he had heard in the past few hundred years. Chapter 1850. If you don't believe me, you can come forward and try. Jiang Chun took a step forward and stood in front of Bai Fengyu and Hua Fu. "Oh, I've never seen a fool before, but I've seen one today." Han Yixing laughed even louder. At first, he thought that Jiang Chun was just pretending in front of the two beauties. He didn't expect that he really dared to take the initiative to come forward. "Can you do it?" the two asked worriedly. It was true that Jiang Chun was strong enough to fight across realms. But the opponent was not a celestial venerable, but a real immortal monarch expert. The gap between a celestial venerable and an immortal monarch was so big that it was almost impossible to make up for it. "You don't even trust me?" Jiang Chun shrugged. Then his body sank, and two phantoms slowly appeared behind him. One was a fiery phoenix, and the other was a sky-swallowing golden dragon. At the same time, in Jiang Chun's blood, the seven-colored blood essence and golden blood essence circulated crazily and soon merged together. And Jiang Chun's strength also rose. Celestial Venerable? Han Yexing's smile disappeared. With his strength and the status of the Soul Saber sect in the western part of the northern region, he didn't even have the chance to come into contact with the Phoenix Phantoms and the Golden Dragon Phantoms. He thought that it was some fancy, low-level immortal technique. But he did feel the increase in Jiang Chun's cultivation. "TSK, this sect master is unlucky." Hua Fu relaxed and said with a chuckle, "Such a high increase in cultivation, will it cause any negative effects to the body?" Compared to Hua Fu's relaxed state, Bai Fengyu was still somewhat worried. If it's an ordinary immortal technique, it will. However, Jiang Chun's body has fused with the purest power of our fire-bathing Phoenix clan's bloodline, and he has even taken a drop of essence blood. Moreover, there is another dragon's aura. Hua Fu looked at the other dragon image behind Jiang Chun and got lost in thought. She felt that this aura was similar to that of the ancient Dharma Void dragon clan, but it was more vigorous and refined than the former. While she was pondering, Jiang Chun had already walked to the front of the sect. "Sect Master Soul, aren't you going to take my woman away?" Jiang Chun looked at him with a smile and said, "Since you have this idea, you have to get past me first. If you can't even defeat me, wouldn't you be a piece of trash who talks big?" Han Yeling was greatly provoked by Jiang Chun's words. Moreover, this time, he had brought all the disciples from the sect with him. He wanted to avenge Han Sheng and show all the disciples in the sect how he had killed Wan Cheng's son. He was even prepared to make a name for himself. Fancy things are useless in the face of true strength. Swallowing his saliva, Han Milan picked up his broadsword and slashed at Jiang Chun. It suddenly occurred to him that even though Jiang Chun's performance was so impressive and his cultivation had been greatly improved, there was still a big gap between him and Jiang Chun. As long as Jiang Chun exerted all of his skills, Jiang Chun would still be killed. "Master, be careful. This kid has many attributes. As far as I know, he has at least 2 attributes." Han Sheng shouted from among the disciples. However, he only remembered the earth and would attribute celestial techniques that Jiang Chun had used. He completely forgot about the rainbow longsword in Jiang Chun's hand. Perhaps in his cognitive ability, he only thought of it as a colorful weapon and did not think of other aspects. He could not think of anything else. 2 attributes? Han Yeling was a little surprised, but he did not take it seriously. When he knew that Jiang Chun was a little strange, he used a killing move the moment he attacked. When he picked up the broadsword, his aura suddenly surged into it. Then, Han Yeling shook his body and turned into a broadsword. This is the secret technique of our Soul Saber sect, the Twin Saber technique. Many disciples cried out in surprise when they saw this. In the hundreds or even thousands of years that they had been cultivating in the sect, they had only seen the soul extinguisher technique 2 or 3 times. Moreover, they did not have the qualifications to cultivate it. In the entire sect, only the sect master knew how to use it. Is he really a celestial master? Looking at the 2 broadswords floating in front of him, Jiang Chun could not hold it in any longer. Although Han Mieling's celestial power was very weak and his aura was not stable, he was a real celestial master. Now that he had used such a celestial technique, Jiang Chun had a whole new level of respect for him. While Jiang Chun was hesitating, the 2 knives were thrown at him, one from the left and the other from the right. Although their methods weren't that good, Jiang Chen couldn't afford to be too careless. While dodging the attacks of the two broadswords, he also felt for the flaws. An immortal is an immortal. Even if he used some crooked methods to become a celestial master, he is still not a match for the sect leader. As long as we can kill Jiang Chen, our Soul Saber sect will be famous in the celestial world. At that time, we will be able to cultivate the real top celestial technique. After more than 100 rounds, seeing that Jiang Chen was dodging and the sect leader was constantly attacking, the group of Soul Saber sect disciples suddenly shouted. Listening to their shouts, if one did not know the real situation, one would think that Jiang Chen had been beaten to the ground. After more than 100 rounds, Jiang Chen had almost figured out Han Mieling's attacking method. Saber cultivation was to cultivate domineering aura. Not only could it give the opponent a strong pressure, but it was also very lethal. If one was careless and touched by it, one would definitely be heavily slashed. It was possible to be seriously injured. The continuous attacks had made Han Mieling confident. At the beginning, he would test Jiang Chen when he attacked. Now, he did not have any scruples and only needed to slash forward. Anyway, Jiang Chen only knew how to dodge. His immortal force was more abundant than his. As long as he forced him to exhaust his immortal force, he could end the battle with one slash. Sect leader Han, I'm going to fight back. After tilting his head to avoid the attack, Jiang Chen's mouth curved into a sneer. Then he stretched his hand down. Before the seven-colored long sword was condensed, Jiang Chen suddenly felt that the dragon clan's power in his body seemed to throb. Are you waiting for your death? Have you given up? He saw that Jiang Chen was standing still. Han Mieling laughed arrogantly. He jumped forward and prepared to slash Jiang Chen's neck. As long as he could get his head, his sect would be famous. Oh no! Huafu did not know why Jiang Chen stopped, but after seeing the big saber in the air, her immortal force instantly gushed out. But what she did not see was that Jiang Chen's finger moved. Pa! In the depths of the sect, a shadow rushed straight at Jiang Chen. Even the courtyard wall in front of him was easily pierced through. Young sect leader of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect, it's over. The big saber that Han Mieling had transformed into appeared above Jiang Chen's head and slashed down. Chapter 1851. Huafu couldn't hold it in any longer. She didn't know what Jiang Chen was waiting for, but if she didn't make a move, the broadsword would really strike down. Even with the power of the bloodline, she couldn't block the attack of the immortal monarch when she was unprepared. Swoosh! The sound of wind breaking rang out. Beside Huafu, a long object suddenly swept out. While she was in a daze, her recovery was delayed for a moment. It was too late to make a move now. Huafu closed her eyes and blamed Jiang Chen for his arrogance. But at the same time, she was very glad that Jiang Chen was a member of the Flame Phoenix clan, and the part flowing in his body was the purest power of the bloodline of the entire clan. As long as his soul didn't die, he could be brought back to the southern region and put into the flame of origin. After 900 years, he could be reborn. Even though it would take a long time, this was the only result for Jiang Chen now. Jiang Chen, Bai Fengyu widened her eyes, but unfortunately, she was too weak. She could only watch as the broadsword slashed at Jiang Chen's neck. Smack! What came to his ears was not the sound of the broadsword cutting into the body. Instead, it was a very crisp sound. What's that? The broadsword transformed from the soul extinguisher spirit flew out. Under such a blow, it directly left the spell form and rolled twice on the ground. Even the other broadsword had fallen to the ground. Looking up, a rusty spear suddenly appeared above Jiang Chen's body. The spear floated quietly as if it was frozen in space. Bade, lend me your weapon. Jiang Chen got up and grabbed the sky-splitting spear. Just now, Jiang Chen mobilized the power of the sky-swallowing golden dragon bloodline in his body. He wanted to test its power, but he didn't expect to suddenly sense the location of the sky-splitting spear. Jiang Chen immediately summoned it. Although he wasn't very familiar with it for the first time, Jiang Chen wouldn't put himself in danger because of the experiment. At the last moment, if the spear didn't arrive in time, He would use the ever-changing heavenly lamp to dodge. But everything was just right. Bang! What kind of rusty gun is this? You actually dare to take it out? I underestimated you just now. If we fight another 100 rounds, I will definitely cut off your head with my own hands. Han Ling got up from the ground, spat out a mouthful of blood, and said disdainfully, "Really?" Jiang Chen stood up and held the spear with one hand. Pala pala! Under the dumbfounded gazes of the crowd, the rust on the spear gradually fell off. A moment later, the rusty and tattered spear turned pure gold. When he stabbed it into the ground, a sharp spear light slowly flowed from the tail to the top of the spear. Finally, it gathered at the tip of the spear and then suddenly rushed into the sky. Golden again. However, this is a great weapon for showing off. Looking at the transformation of the sky-splitting spear, even with Jiang Chen's experience, he felt his heartbeat quicken. When the spear light entered the sky, Jiang Chen felt that his entire aura had changed. What he didn't know was that when the sky-splitting spear returned to its original state, the phoenix shadow behind him had quietly shrunk a little. The dragon shadow that was originally the same size as the phoenix was now hovering above Jiang Chen's head. Something's not right. All disciples, listen to my orders and leave this place immediately. Looking at the transformation of Jiang Chen and the spear, Han Ling finally felt that something was wrong. He recalled that during the fight just now, Jiang Chen had been dodging and didn't even have the intention to fight back. He suddenly understood that it wasn't that Jiang Chen didn't dare to fight with him, nor was it that he was forced to defend. Instead, he was using him to practice. After roaring, Han Ling abandoned all the disciples and fled in the opposite direction of the door. The disciples didn't react for a moment. When they wanted to move again, they were suppressed by the Dragon Clan's aura in Jiang Chen's body and were unable to move. "I'll go and get him back." Hua Fu spoke and prepared to immediately chase after him. This person had almost killed Jiang Chen just now. She wouldn't let Han Ling escape so easily. She had to capture him and torture him before killing him. "You don't have to do it." Jiang Chen smiled faintly and reached out to stop Hua Fu. He controlled the sky-splitting spear directly from his hand and rushed in the direction of Han Ling's escape. This time, the sound was right. It was the sound of a weapon piercing into a body. Han Ling's body trembled, and he staggered forward a few steps before stopping. After feeling the pain, he subconsciously looked down. The tip of the sky-splitting spear had pierced through his back and out of his chest. At this time, there was still fierce immortal power circulating on the tip of the golden spear, and his blood couldn't stain the spear at all. It flowed down the tip of the spear and slowly dripped to the ground. "You can't run away." Jiang Chen raised his hand and gently hooked it. Just like that, the sky-splitting spear brought Han Ling back. Looking at the man hanging from the gun, Jiang Chen smiled coldly. He walked up to him and asked, "If I remember correctly, you said you were going to teach my woman a lesson, didn't you?" No, I didn't say that." Han Annihilation shook his head forcefully. He could already feel his life force slowly slipping away. Moreover, every time he opened his mouth to speak, a large pool of blood would flow out from his mouth and fall onto the stone bricks in front of the sect gate. "Don't worry, none of the people in your sect will escape. They will all accompany you out of the immortal world. However, you are the first person to leave blood in my 10,000 mounts immortal sect. I'll give you a quick death." Jiang Chen raised his hand in front of him and immediately clenched it. The immortal power and dragon power condensed on the sky-splitting spear exploded in an instant. In an instant, Han Ling's body and soul were destroyed. There was no scene of flesh and blood splattering in all directions. There was only the scene of his body being annihilated under such a fierce and domineering fluctuation. Jiang Chen's vision of the Soul Saber sect's disciples was slightly blurred. Han Ling disappeared. The sky-splitting spear was brand new and was not contaminated by any blood. After seeing this scene, although the group of disciples was suppressed by Jiang Chen's dragon power to the point that they could not move, the shock, fear, and regret in their eyes had already betrayed their true thoughts. There were even many people whose lower bodies gradually emitted a foul smell. F***CK. Did you see my spear? Just as Jiang Chun was about to kill them directly, Long Dade hurriedly ran out from inside. As he ran, his eyes were still looking around. Why are you looking for your spear? Jiang Chun smiled and withdrew some of his hostility. Why is there a bloody smell and immortal power fluctuation? Long Dade felt that something was wrong. When he raised his head, he saw a long spear in front of Jiang Chun. However, he only glanced at it. Chapter 1852. After all, the one in front of Jiang Chun was shining with a golden light, and the spear was sharp. It was obvious that it was not an ordinary item. As for the sky-splitting spear that he used, it was tattered and full of rust. If he did not mention the origin of this spear, no one would be willing to pick it up if it was thrown on the ground. There might even be people who would deliberately step on it because they hated it. Oh, hasn't the sky-splitting spear always been with you? Why is it missing? Seeing that he did not recognize it, Jiang Chun was prepared to tease him. Anyway, Han Mie and Ling Ling had already been killed, and the remaining disciples were just waiting to die. I don't know either. I was sleeping inside when I suddenly heard a loud sound. Then, I couldn't see it anymore. I searched for a long time before I saw that the sect's spear wounds had holes similar to the spear body. I looked all the way until I found it outside. Take a look. Long Dade pointed to an eye beside Jiang Chun and said, "Don't care about your broken spear. Try mine. It might be more convenient." Jiang Chun held back his laughter and brought the sky-splitting spear in front of Long Dade. It's not like you don't know the origin of that spear. Now that you have inherited the power of the sky-swallowing golden dragon's bloodline, you can be considered the only successor. That spear should be your weapon. I just took it because it was rare. I didn't expect that I would throw it away. I have to find it back. Long Dade shook his head vigorously. He would always feel guilty for losing such a treasure. "Ha! This spear is your sky-splitting spear." Seeing him so flustered, Jiang Chun didn't have the heart to tease him anymore. "Impossible." Long Dade took a look and shook his head again. "The sky-splitting spear is tattered. Even if you find a blacksmith to polish it, it won't be returned so quickly. Don't comfort me. I'll go outside and look for it." As he spoke, Long Dade prepared to return to his original form. Seeing this, Jiang Chun quickly pulled his hand and pressed it on the spear body. Then, under the gaze of Jiang Chun, Bai Fengyu, and Huafu, when Long Dade's hand came into contact with the body of the spear, the sharp aura of the sky-splitting spear disappeared without a trace. The light also disappeared at the same time, and those rust stains also slowly appeared. Look at this spear. Is this your sky-splitting spear?" Jiang Chun did not expect such a situation to occur, and the atmosphere suddenly became awkward. It's the sky-breaking spear." Looking at this familiar appearance, Long Dade was overjoyed. However, before he could be happy for a second, he realized that something was wrong. He thought about what Jiang Chun was holding, and then looked at the one in front of him. Mother asterisk Kerr, does this gun despise me? Long Dade felt that he had been humiliated. After cursing, he threw the spear away. Ha ha ha! Bai Fengyu and Huafu could no longer hold it in. They clutched their stomachs and squatted on the ground, laughing out loud. Even their tears flowed out. Maybe this is his ability to protect himself. Looking at the broken spear lying in front of his feet and recalling the one in his hand, even Jiang Chun felt that it was unbelievable. I'm the ancestral dragon. When I was in the lower realm, I was at the top of all the dragon species. I have the purest dragon bloodline. After ascending to the immortal realm, I've been bullied time and time again. Now, even a broken spear looks down on me. I'm not doing this anymore. I want to go back. Long Dade finally roared out loud. Sigh. Seeing that he was about to get angry, Jiang Chun quickly persuaded him. If there's a chance in the future, I'll give you some of the power of the sky-devouring golden dragon bloodline in my body. That way you can use it too. However, you don't have to think about the blood essence. It has already merged with my blood. Dade, if you go back, who am I going to ride in the future? Hearing Jiang Chun's words, Long Dade picked up the sky-splitting spear on the ground and blinked. I heard it clearly. You said that you'll give me some of the power of the sky-devouring golden dragon bloodline in your body. As the young master of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect, you can't go back on your words. F***ck. You tricked me. Jiangchen saw something wrong in Long Dade's eyes. Then he realized that this kid was probably lying when he said that he wanted to go back. He was just waiting for him to say those words. Haven't you tricked me enough? Long Dade rolled his eyes and returned to the sect happily with the sky-splitting spear in hand. He was waiting for the time when he obtained the power of the bloodline. Then he would be able to use the golden weapon as cool as Jiangchen. If he showed off his skills in front of the female dragon, wouldn't she be so charmed that she would throw herself into his arms? It's over. After Dade ascended to the lower realm, his IQ has increased. Jiangchen couldn't help but hold his forehead as he said with a headache. It wouldn't be so easy to trick this kid in the future. Looking at the situation in front of the sect, the disciples of the Soul Saber sect didn't find it funny. Instead, they felt tormented. If you want to kill us, can't you kill us quickly? Raising and throwing the spear made them feel like they had jumped off a cliff and were pulled back. Before they could stand firm, they were pushed down again. Looking at these disciples of the Soul Saber sect, Jiangchen suddenly didn't feel like killing them after Long Dade's actions. Hundreds of people stared at Jiangchen as fear filled their hearts. I've decided. I'll let you guys live. Jiangchen placed his hands behind his back as a pure, immortal energy condensed at his fingertips. However, the price for your lives is that I'll cripple your cultivation. As his voice fell, the immortal energy gradually disappeared from Jiangchen's body. It entered everyone's temples and exited from the other side. Streams of aura that weren't weak dissipated in front of Jiangchen. Even those who were about to reach the immortal supremacy realm had their cultivation wiped out by Jiangchen. After a while, Jiangchen withdrew the two streams of aura back into his body. The pressure also disappeared. In the immortal world, those who lost their cultivation were no different from trash. They would be trampled on or bullied by everyone. They might even die at any time. From now on, this group of people wouldn't be a threat to Jiangchen. Thank you for sparing our lives. Hundreds of people heaved a sigh of relief. Losing their cultivation was a big problem, but it was still better than losing their lives. As the saying goes, a bad life is better than a good death. Just as they were about to turn around and leave after thanking him, Jiangchen stretched out his hand and pointed at them. You guys stay. The rest of you can leave. They couldn't care about anything else. Apart from these few people, the rest of the people scattered and used all their strength to escape from Jiangchen. Why did you leave us behind? A few people stood up with trembling legs. They didn't even have the courage to look at Jiangchen. Chapter 1853. I don't have to say anything, do I? Jiangchen ignored him. Pointing at Han Sheng, who was standing at the end of the group, he asked, I asked you to take revenge, and you really had the nerve to take revenge. I don't know whether I should call you stupid or brave. I won't dare to do it again. Han Sheng shook his head vigorously. No. Since you want to kill me to become famous and bring benefits to yourself, you naturally have to pay a price if you can't kill me. Jiangchen waved his hand. Immortal chi surged, causing Han Sheng to disappear on the spot before he could even let out a scream. What about you guys? Do you know? After dealing with Han Sheng, Jiangchen looked at the few people in front of him. How could these people still have the ability to speak? Even their expressions were completely out of control. Forget it if you don't want to say. Jiangchen waved his hand again, and these people, like Han Sheng, disappeared. Walking to the sect gate, Jiangchen shrugged and then revealed a very relaxed smile. I told you that with my strength, I can get rid of them. There's no need for you to do anything. Didn't you say you were going to let them go? Why did you kill a few more people? Bai Fengyu frowned and asked. Them. Jiangchen raised his eyebrows and said, one of them was the one who brought them here. The other few were the bastards who insulted Huafu when they just arrived. Fengyu, if anyone dares to tease you in the future, they will end up the same. These two simple sentences made the two women shy. They held on to Jiang Qin's arm and walked inside. When the senior brothers of the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion saw this, they were all envious. They hated that they were not Jiang Qin and could not hug the top-grade beauties. But among them, the one who had the biggest reaction was Jiang Yuan. When he saw Bai Fengyu on the left, he did not think much of it. But when he saw Hua Fu on the right, he spat out the meat in his mouth. What a coincidence! It landed on the head of a disciple of the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. I'm sorry. She wiped her lips. While she was surprised that Fire Lotus and Jiang Chun had developed such a relationship, she repeatedly apologized. She picked up the pieces of meat on her disciple's head and threw them to the ground. I'm fine. The disciple was so scared that he didn't dare to move. It was one thing for the immortal monarch to spit all over his head, but now the immortal monarch actually dared to take the initiative to clean up for him. This was something that he had never dared to imagine. For the next few days, Jiang Qin stayed in the sect, only occasionally returning to the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion to take a look. If there was something going on in the pavilion, he would come here to report. After all, the distance between the two sects was less than 100 miles. They could arrive in less than a minute. This peaceful life only lasted for less than 10 days before a piece of news reached Jiang Qin's ears. What? Immortal King Xian Jun invited me? Jiang Qin looked at the Jade Sword sect disciple in front of him and asked in surprise, I have almost no interaction with your sect. Why would Immortal King Xian Jun suddenly ask me to go? This? Young Lord Jiang will know when you go. The disciple stammered. If you don't say it, then I won't go. I'll just go back and tell Immortal King Xian Jun the truth. Jiang Qin laughed coldly. In the sect, Xian Jun and Hua Xian had a huge falling out. Now he actually took the initiative to invite him over. Jiang Qin didn't need to think to know that it wasn't anything good. Young Lord Jiang, senior brother Chang'e, is in trouble. Seeing that Jiang Chun had no intention of leaving, the Jade Sword sect disciple could only tell the truth. What did you say? Repeat it again. Jiang Chun slammed his palm on the table. His entire aura was released uncontrollably. The indifferent expression on his face also disappeared without a trace. Under the pressure of Jiang Qin's aura, the Jade Sword sect disciple's face turned ugly. Senior brother Chang'e is in trouble in the sect. The disciple suppressed his discomfort and said, It seems that his life is in danger. Master really had no choice, so he thought of you. What a joke. As one of the 3 great immortal kings, he can't even protect his disciple's life. How can he still have the face to flaunt himself? Jiang Chun said angrily. He was about to rush out. Just then, he saw Jiang Yuan and Long Dade walking side by side. Jiang Yuan, Dade and I have something to do. Jiang Chun walked out quickly and said to Jiang Yuan, What's the matter? Why are you in such a hurry? Long Dade asked curiously. He rarely saw Jiang Chun lose his composure like this. Chang'e is an immortal king Xian Jun's sect. His life is in danger. Jiang Chun took a deep breath and said in a low voice, What did you say? Long Dade transformed into his original form and rushed out. Jiang Chun urged his immortal power to follow and jumped onto his back. One man and one dragon quickly disappeared into the clouds. Young Master Jiang, wait for me. When Jiang Chun disappeared without a trace, the disciple recovered from the pressure. He hurriedly got up and chased after him. Long Dade was very fast. When he arrived at the Jade Sword sect, Jiang Chun rushed into Xian Jun's hall without caring about anything else. At this time, Xian Jun was sitting inside with a worried face. When he saw Jiang Chun, he hurriedly got up. Jiang Chun, I'm afraid only you can help. Immortal King Xian Jun, you're one of the 3 great immortal kings. You don't even have a way to protect your disciple. You even put your hopes on me. Do you think a 3rd stage immortal like me can be of much help? Jiang Chun asked loudly as soon as he walked in. I know you don't have a way, but Lin Baichao of the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy is one of your people. Last time, I almost fell out with Hua Xian in your sect. If I want to find him myself, Lin Baichao might not help. I could only invite you over. I know you can get Lin Baichao to help. And Yin Chang'e is your brother. You can't just leave him alone. Xian Jun couldn't care less. As long as Yin Chang'e could be saved, he would take the scolding. Dade, go to the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy immediately and invite Elder Lin Bai Chao over. Remember, the sooner the better. Jiang Chen turned and ordered Long Dade. But I don't know where the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy is. Long Dade was anxious. Follow my immortal power. Xian Jun flicked his finger. An array of immortal power flashed out. In the blink of an eye, they had already arrived at the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy. Feeling Xian Jun's fluctuations in the distance, Long Dade didn't hesitate. He ran out of the hall and jumped. He transformed into his original body again and sped up crazily. Although I'm one of the 3 great immortal kings, my main cultivation is sword cultivation. Just like Gu was main cultivation is arrays and barriers. I don't know how to refine medicine or treat injuries. Changa's injury this time is really too serious. Xian Jun sighed heavily. Immortal King Xian Jun, if anything happens to Nian Changa, I won't let you off easily. Jiang Chen glared at him and walked out quickly. Xian Jun could only follow behind obediently. If other immortal cultivators said this, they would definitely be laughed at. But Jiang Chen was different. He had Bai Xianling and Gu Hu behind him. Xian Jun knew that if something really happened to Nian Changa, not only would he lose an extremely talented and outstanding disciple, he would also offend the other 2 great immortal kings. Under Xian Jun's lead, Jiang Chen quickly walked to the back of the Jade Sword sect. After the disciples along the way felt the oppressive aura coming from Jiang Chen's body, they all consciously distanced themselves from him. This fluctuation was even more terrifying than when he fought with senior brother Xian Yi and senior brother Xian Er. Where is he? Jiang Chen asked with gloomy eyes. In the sword tomb, Xian Jun said truthfully. Chapter 1854. Following behind Xian Jun, Jiang Chen quickly arrived at the sword tomb of the Jade Sword sect. This was the place where the swords of every expert of the Jade Sword sect were buried. Everyone in the sect, from the elders to the ordinary disciples, had to bury their swords here if they encountered any danger. Some of the immortal techniques of the Jade Sword sect were also related to this place. When Xian Yi and Xian Er had fought with Jiang Chen, they had used the 10,000 swords returned to Origin and Heaven-splitting slash. The 100 swords have been gathered here. However, at this moment, the entire sword tomb was shrouded in sharp sword qi. Immortal King Xian Jun? What's going on? Jiang Chun took a deep breath, suppressing the anger in his heart, and asked. Nian Changa has been cultivating here for several months, and it has been very stable. Who knew that there would suddenly be a fluctuation in the sword tomb yesterday? When I rushed here, it was already like this. Xian Jun was somewhat helpless, but could only answer honestly. Then what are you waiting for? Hurry up and save him. Jiang Chun was about to rush into the sword qi. Seeing this, Xian Jun hurriedly stretched out his hand to stop Jiang Chun. If this kid encountered any trouble inside, then he could be considered to have offended half of the experts of the immortal world. Immortal King Xian Jun? Jiang Chen frowned. You can't go in? Xian Jun said sternly. The sword tomb is almost out of control now. All the accumulated violent energy is wreaking havoc, and the immortal energy of almost all the experts of the Jade Sword sect has gathered. If you just barge in like this, I'm afraid you won't be able to come out. Why don't you go in? Jiang Chen was about to refute when he suddenly remembered that Xian Jun was one of the 3 great immortal kings, a true expert of the immortal world. Xian Jun was stunned, then helplessly shook his head. Even I can't go in easily. The only way to save Nian Changa is to destroy the sword tomb directly and draw all the energy into the space crack. But in this way, the sword tomb will no longer exist. I heard from Immortal King Xian Jun that you want to sacrifice Nian Changa to protect your sword tomb. If he can come out on his own, then he will be treated by Elder Lin Bai Chao of the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy. If he can't come out, then he will die inside, right? Jiang Chen slowly understood Xian Jun's thoughts. You can't say it like that. Having his thoughts exposed by Jiang Chen, Xian Jun was extremely embarrassed. It was difficult for him to choose between the sword mound and the disciple with the 72 lotuses. If he gave up the sword tomb, he might not be able to continue cultivating after rescuing Nian Chang'e. However, the destruction of the Sword Tomb meant that a third of the Jade Sword sect's immortal arts would be rendered useless. Once the news spread, losing Nian Chang'e would only cause the outside world to feel pity, or even secretly rejoice. However, losing the Sword Tomb would cause the Jade Sword School to become the laughingstock of the immortal world. After weighing the pros and cons, Xianjun made this choice. Immortal King Xianjun, if you don't want to save Nian Chang'e, I can go in for you. Jiang Qin sneered and walked into the Sword Tomb. He said indifferently, but if I meet with any accident inside, then you should consider how to explain it to the white-robed Immortal King and the one ancient Immortal King. Jiang Chun. Xianjun wasn't paying attention, and he allowed Jiang Chun to enter directly. Seeing the slightly thin figure disappear into the sword chi, it was already too late for Xianjun to chase. This kid is too reckless. Xianjun cursed, but this made him secretly happy. Jiang Chun barging in without caring about the danger was enough to prove Nian Chang'e's position in this person's heart. In the future, using Nian Chang'e, he might really be able to pull Jiang Chun into their Jade Sword sect. Thinking about it, Xianjun was still worried about Jiang Chen's safety. He didn't care about anything else and directly stepped into the sword chi. Jiang Chun, who had just entered, didn't even see the road in front of him clearly, but his body was already cut several times by the biting cold sword chi. Holding his breath, Jiang Chun spread out his immortal power from his body to temporarily protect his safety. At the same time, he tried his best to sense Nian Chang'e's location. In the deepest part of the Sword Tomb, Jiang Chun sensed a familiar aura. It was just that the aura was very weak now, as if it could disappear from the world at any time. Swish! A huge sword swept past Jiang Chun's head. Jiang Chun hurriedly dodged to the side. Bang! The huge sword bent and smashed onto Jiang Chun's body. After suffering such a heavy blow, Jiang Chun hurriedly retreated dozens of steps. He could clearly feel the biting cold aura on the huge sword. The person who wore this sword was at least an Immortal King level expert before he died. As expected of old dog Xianjun's sect, a casual huge sword carries the aura of an Immortal King. Wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, Jiang Chun spat and looked at the deepest part of the Sword Tomb with even more determination. After resting for a while, the immortal power in Jiang Chun's body surged crazily. He rushed towards the place where Nian Chang'e was. However, even with the 10,000 transformations heavenly lamp, Jiang Chun was still attacked from time to time and suffered a lot of injuries. However, with the advantage of speed, he still kept approaching that place. Cough, cough. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, Jiang Chun finally arrived at the door of a lonely room. Here, there were hundreds of deep pits of different sizes around the room. The uncontrolled and raging swords in the Sword Tomb were inserted here before. Nian Chang'e. Walking to the door, Jiang Chun pushed the door open forcefully. The sword chi in the room was even sharper. The moment the door was pushed open, Jiang Chun's body was slashed with more than a dozen bloody wounds. The shadow of the phoenix appeared behind him and wrapped Jiang Chun with its wings, blocking these attacks. Entering the room, he saw Nian Chang'e lying on the bed at a glance. Chang'e! Jiang Chun hurried over and helped him up from the bed. At this time, Nian Chang'e had already fallen into a coma. His face and body were covered in bloody wounds, and his aura was extremely weak. It was not easy to be able to persist for so long in such a raging sword tomb. He reached out and placed his hand on Nian Chang'e's pulse. After sensing that there was no great danger in his body, he was relieved. Jiang Chun, Xianjun arrived. Old dog Xianjun, aren't you not allowed to come in? Jiang Chun's eyes were gloomy. If not for the difference in strength, if not for the fact that Nian Chang'e was the main person, Jiang Chun would have already punched him. This is our Jade Sword Sect's sword tomb. Of course I can come in. Xianjun's face darkened, but he still thickened his skin and explained, it's just that I wasn't sure of Nian Chang'e's situation here, so I didn't dare to rashly enter. And Xianjun lowered his head and looked at the bloody wounds on his body. Take him out. Jiang Chen directly carried Nian Chang'e on his back. If he had the time to talk to Xian Jun, he might as well leave this place as soon as possible. Chapter 1855. Boom! There was a loud explosion. Just as the two of them were about to bring Nian Chang'e out, hundreds of swords gathered at the entrance of the room. All the swords were pointed at Jiang Chen. What's going on? Jiang Chen asked in a low voice. Maybe. Xian Jun was a little surprised, but after a while, he said, Nian Chang'e became like this when he was comprehending our Jade Sword Sect's mastery of 10,000 swords. I told him not to force it if he couldn't. The mastery of 10,000 swords is an immortal technique that I comprehended when I ascended to the Immortal King realm. It's not that easy to master. I didn't expect him to not listen to me. What's the mastery of 10,000 swords? Jiang Chen stared at the swords outside, suddenly interested. It was an immortal technique that Immortal King Xian Jun comprehended when he broke through to the Immortal King realm. After tens of thousands of years of refinement, it was probably one of the strongest sword techniques in the entire immortal realm. Let's bring him out first. Xian Jun sighed deeply. Immortal King Xian Jun, lead the way. I'll follow you from behind. Jiang Chen took 2 steps back with Nian Chang'e on his back. He wasn't stupid enough to go against the fallen experts of the Jade Sword Sect. It was already not easy to reach here, with the help of the myriad transformations, heavenly lamp, and the power of the phoenix. Follow closely. Xian Jun's heart sank. His entire body exploded with majestic, immortal energy, which instantly swept out of the sword tomb. Looks like this Immortal King Xian Jun is just a facade. Nian Chang'e only failed to comprehend, and he already messed up the sword tomb. Jiang Chen couldn't help but sigh. Xian Jun didn't hear Jiang Chen's words. He mobilized the immortal energy in his body to fight against the chaotic sword tomb. Even if the sword tomb was destroyed, he had to let Jiang Chen and Nian Chang'e out alive. Otherwise, not only would he lose a talented disciple, he would also form a blood feud with by Xianling and Guhua. However, at this moment, the remaining immortal energy of the fallen experts of the Jade Sword Sect within the Sword Catacomb caused those swords to attack Xian Jun and Jiang Chen in a frenzy under the brutal control of the immortal energy. Immortal King Xian Jun, is your cultivation not enough to control the situation here? Jiang Chen frowned. I can, but if I were to take action, our Jade Sword School's sword mound would cease to exist. Xian Jun sighed. The two people's speed was very fast. In a blink of an eye, they already arrived at the sword tomb's exit. Leaping away, Jiang Chen gasped for breath. For the sake of your Jade Sword Sect's broken sword tomb, Nian Chang'e almost died inside. Jiang Chen glared at him and said, Actually, I'm also a little curious. Chang'e merely failed to comprehend it. How did he become like this? Xian Jun rubbed his chin and frowned as he pondered. Maybe the entire sword catacomb is out of your control, Jiang Chen said casually. Something like this has never happened before. Xian Jun shook his head. This was the first time the sword catacomb had gone out of control since the establishment of the Jade Sword Sect. Even if he was one of the true experts in this world, he still couldn't figure out what was going on. They're here. Feeling the two familiar auras, Jiang Chen looked up at the sky. In the clouds, a dragon shadow quickly appeared and swept towards the Jade Sword Sect at an extremely fast speed. In the disciples' room, Xian Jun stood at the door, while Jiang Chen and Lin Baichao stood in front of the bed, looking at Nian Chang'e, who was lying on the bed. How's the situation? Jiang Chen asked in a low voice. His situation is not good. His body is filled with sharp sword energy. These sword energy have even severed his meridians. Lin Baichao only reached out to sense the situation in Nian Chang'e's body, then shook his head helplessly. Can we save him? Jiang Chen furrowed his brows. Even Long Dade quickly ran in from outside. That's not a problem. Lin Baichao could see how important Nian Chang'e was to Jiang Chen, so he took out an elixir from his storage ring and stuffed it into Jiang Chen's mouth. He said, This elixir is the same as the one I gave young Lord. It can save your life. But if you want him to completely recover, then you have to restore his meridians. But with the sword energy, I can't heal him. Great Elder Lin means that as long as we can expel the sword energy from his body, there's a way. Jiang Qin caught the meaning behind his words. That's right. Lin Baichao didn't hesitate and directly agreed. Immortal King Xian Jun, it's time for you to act. Jiang Qin turned and shouted towards the door. Xian Jun hurried over, but after hearing Lin Baichao's words, he fell silent. Immortal King Xian Jun, don't you want to save Nianchanga? Jiang Qin immediately pulled a long face and asked in a deep voice. I can understand that you didn't go in to save him because you wanted to protect the sword tomb. But if you still don't act now, isn't it a little unreasonable? It's not that I don't want to save him, but I can't. Xian Jun shook his head and said, the sharp sword energy in his body is the side effect of forcefully comprehending the 10,000 swords apex. If I inject my immortal energy into his body, not only will I not be able to save him, but the moment I do, Nianchanga will be completely hopeless. So you're saying that we can only find someone who hasn't cultivated the 10,000 swords apex and help him expel the sword energy from his body? Jiang Qin sensed that Xian Jun's words made sense. Yes, that's right. But in our Jade Sword sect, although some disciples haven't cultivated it, their cultivation methods or immortal techniques are more or less related to the 10,000 swords apex. Xian Jun shook his head and said, I'll do it myself. Lin Baichao took a deep breath and released his immortal king aura. Xian Jun was a little surprised. It had been rumored that First Elder Lin Baichao of the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy was a 9th-level immortal venerate expert, but now he clearly sensed that his true cultivation was around the 2nd-level immortal king realm. Let me do it, First Elder Lin. Jiang Qin reached out and placed a hand on his arm. Young master, your cultivation is only at the 3rd-level immortal realm. It's not enough to expel the violent immortal energy from his body. And if you encounter any danger, how am I going to explain it to the others in the sect? Lin Baichao shook his head firmly. As long as Immortal King Xian Jun and First Elder Lin can lend a hand when I expel it, there won't be a problem. Jiang Qin sat on the edge of the bed and instilled immortal energy into Nianchanga's body without further ado. Jiang Qin's expression froze in an instant. A wave of violent sword energy invaded Jiang Qin's body from Nianchanga's body, targeting his meridians and dantian. Once these two areas were destroyed, Jiang Qin could be considered to have bid farewell to cultivation. Jiang Qin's mind was focused on the sword energy, and he mobilized all the immortal energy in his body to deal with it. Chapter 1856. He sensed that something was wrong with Jiang Qin. Lin Baichao was ready to make a move. Wait, don't make a move first. This sword chi doesn't seem to be able to harm him. Xian Jun hurriedly stopped him. With his cultivation, he could clearly sense the situation in Jiang Qin's body. Even your proud disciple has fallen to such a state. Do you think Jiang Qin can survive? Lin Baichao sneered. Others might be afraid, but he wasn't. Besides, Jiang Qin was their young master. Nothing could happen to him. Why don't you even believe me? Xian Jun laughed bitterly. As he spoke, Jiang Qin's aura became fierce, like a sharp sword. It seemed to penetrate the Jade Sword sect and reach the sky. Lin Baichao didn't want to wait any longer. He hurriedly urged his immortal power to force out the fierce sword chi in Jiang Qin's body. Even if it caused some damage, it was better than dying here. If that happened, he really wouldn't know how to explain it to the others. He reached out to touch Jiang Qin's body. Just as his palm was about to touch his body, a violent wave instantly spread out. Lin Baichao couldn't react in time and was directly bounced away. Oh no! Xian Jun's expression also became ugly. He went forward to help Lin Baichao up. At the same time, he constructed a boundary in the room, sealing all the fierce sword chi in the room to prevent it from wreaking havoc in the sect and injuring the disciples. What's the situation in his body? Lin Baichao clutched his chest and looked at Jiang Qin. It's somewhat out of my expectations. Looking at the fierce sword chi that constantly overflowed from Jiang Qin's body, Xian Jun took a deep breath and went forward, ready to force the sword chi out of Jiang Qin and Nianchanga's bodies. His current thoughts were the same as Lin Baichao's. Even if it caused damage, at least they were alive. Xianjun put one hand on Jiang Qin's shoulder and the other on Nian Chang's shoulder. Majestic, immortal power spread out from his body and slowly entered the bodies of the two. His immortal power smoothly entered Nian Chang's body. Just as he was about to forcibly expel the sword qi, he discovered that the 72 lotuses were slowly blooming in Nian Chang's body. It was because of this lotus that he was able to keep his life. Otherwise, he would have lost his life in the sword tomb. On the other hand, Jiang Qin's body contained the power of the phoenix and the power of the golden dragon. Buzz! Just as Xianjun was rejoicing over the fact that the two of them were still alive, another wave of extremely powerful energy spread out from Jiang Qin's body. It was the power of the phoenix and the golden dragon. Feeling the rejection, Xianjun took another deep breath. This kid's cultivation is only at the 3rd level of the divine immortal realm, but he does have a lot of life-saving items in his body. Xianjun could not help but sigh. Under the rejection, Xianjun had no choice but to withdraw his hand. On the other side, although his immortal qi had been infused into Nian Chang's body, the sword qi had become even more rampant. However, with the existence of the 72 lotuses, the situation that he had expected did not happen. "Huh!" Xianjun shouted in a low voice. As he slapped Nian Chang's back, a fierce, immortal qi burst out from his body. Xianjun drew a line with his finger and tore open a spatial rift, guiding the sword qi inside. "Sigh. I'm afraid he'll be crippled in the future." Looking at Nian Chang'a, Xianjun sighed helplessly, his heart filled with endless regret. He should not have given the cultivation method of the mastery of myriad swords to Nian Chang'a. Now, he had lost such a talented disciple for no reason and had almost destroyed the sword tomb. Immortal King Xianjun, how is our young master? Lin Baichao stepped forward and asked. Sigh. Xianjun sighed. I took the risk of seriously injuring Nian Chang'a to force the sword qi out of his body. However, Jiang Chun has the power of the phoenix and the power of the golden dragon. When my immortal qi entered his body, it was completely blocked outside. What did you say? Lin Baichao trembled all over. How he is now depends on his own fortune. Xianjun shook his head helplessly. When this kid went to save Nian Chang'a, I felt that something was wrong. I just didn't expect that I couldn't help him. You're one of the 3 great immortal kings. Lin Baicao's heart sank completely. You're also the Grand Elder of the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy. You can't do anything either. Xianjun said somewhat helplessly. I only know how to treat illnesses and save people. However, his current situation has already exceeded my ability. Lin Baicao's tone became sharper. Immortal King Xianjun, something happened to the young master in your Jade Sword sect. He only ended up in this state because of saving your disciple. If anything happens to him, you should consider how to explain it to the people of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect. You don't need to say that. Xianjun interrupted him. Looking at Jiang Chun, Lin Baichao did not continue speaking. His hands were tightly clenched together, his expression anxious. Can you save his life? Xianjun asked after a while. Of course I can. However, in the future, I'm afraid, Lin Baichao let out a heavy sigh. It's already good enough that he can keep his life. Moreover, he's the disciple of the White Robe Immortal King and an ancient Immortal King. There will definitely be a way to recover his cultivation. Xianjun relaxed. What? Lin Baichao was shocked. Cough, cough, cough. I didn't say anything. He glanced at Jiang Chun, who was sitting cross-legged on the bed with his eyes tightly shut. Then, he helped the already weak Nian Chang'a up. The moment the door closed, Long Dade, who had been silent all this while, threw 2 punches at Xianjun's back. Now it's up to his luck. With the 2 bloodline powers in his body, others can't interfere at all. If he can pull through, then it's fine. However, if he can't, then he'll probably be an ordinary person in the future. Lin Baichao took out a pill and held it tightly in his hand. It's just sword qi. Is it that strong? Long Dade asked anxiously. According to what I know, The sword tomb of the Jade Sword sect contains the remnant immortal energy of all the experts above the immortal sovereign level. The energy contained within is probably not stronger than a 5th level immortal king. Although it's just sword chi, Jiang Chun is now fighting with a 5th level immortal king. Don't you think it's strong? Lin Baichao shook his head and smiled. This long Dade fell silent. Let's wait and see. Lin Baichao held the pill and didn't continue speaking. At this moment, Jiang Chun was also fighting with the sword chi in his body. The biting cold sword chi was constantly wreaking havoc in his body, and the two bloodline powers were also fusing together, constantly tearing apart the sword chi. Waves of invisible waves spread out from the room. Many disciples of the Jade Sword sect gathered here and looked towards the room. What's going on? You still don't know, right? Senior brother Chang'e encountered a problem in the sword tomb. Now the entire sword tomb is in a mess. Even the sect leader can't do anything. That can't be. The sect leader is one of the 3 great immortal kings. Chapter 1857. Many of the disciples were chattering among themselves. Although Xianjun had never revealed anything to them, there was no such thing as a secret. The situation in the Sword Tomb had long been spread throughout the Jade Sword sect. However, due to Xianjun's authority, no one dared to say anything. Now, Nian Chang'e was taken away from the room by the sect master, and Jiang Chun was left inside, emitting sword chi fluctuations from the Jade Sword sect from time to time. This group of people couldn't help but speak up. All of you, go do what you're supposed to do. If anyone dares to talk about this, they'll be expelled from the Jade Sword sect immediately. Xian Yi received Xianjun's order and immediately rushed over. With Xian Yi's order, the disciples scattered. Xian Yi turned around and glanced at Nian Chang'e's residence. Sensing the fluctuations that were constantly spreading out from there, Xian Yi's expression became very complicated. He didn't know what had happened in the sect. After settling Nian Chang'e down, Xianjun returned again. Jiang Chun was still sitting cross-legged in the same place, motionless. However, one could clearly feel that his body was going through a storm. The sharp sword chi was flowing all over Jiang Chen's body. The power of the phoenix was protecting Jiang Chen's meridians and internal organs, and the power of the golden dragon was resisting the sharp sword chi. Time passed by slowly. Xianjun tried 3 times in a row to force the sword chi out of Jiang Chen's body. However, when his immortal power was about to enter Jiang Chen's body, it would be repelled by the 2 bloodline powers. Xianjun had no choice but to give up. He stood in the room uneasily. His only hope now was that Lin Baichao could save Jiang Chen's life. This way, he, Bai Xianling, and Guhu would have something to say. A few days passed. Jiang Chen's situation in the sect had almost been forgotten by all the disciples. However, in the Sword Tomb, the hundreds of swords used by the fallen experts of the Jade Sword sect and the tens of thousands of longswords that Xianjun had collected from all over the immortal realm gradually calmed down. All of a sudden, a sharp energy of the sword swept out of the room where Jiang Chen was. Many disciples were caught off guard. Xian Yi and Xian Er hurried over immediately. They were going to kill Jiang Chun on the grounds that he had hurt a disciple of the school. But before Mystic One could open the door, both of them turned to look in the direction of the Sword Tomb. There, the humming of tens of thousands of swords could be heard. What's the situation in the Sword Catacomb? Xianjun pushed open the door. He was already used to Jiang Chun releasing a strand of sword chi from time to time, but the new situation from the Sword Tomb really shocked him. I don't know. Mystic One stepped forward and looked into the room. Come with me to take a look. Xianjun frowned. He could feel that the sword catacomb was slowly slipping out of his control. Ever since the establishment of the Jade Sword sect, he had never seen such a situation. Even the mess that Nian Chang'e made inside was within his expectation. At the entrance of the sword mound, Xian Yi stood behind Xianjun and looked at the situation in front of him. He could not help but ask, Master, what happened to the Sword Tomb? Nian Chang'e made a mistake in comprehending the 10,000 swords, causing the sword chi in the Sword Tomb to become chaotic. Xianjun sighed deeply. His face darkened, and he raised both hands toward the Sword Tomb. preparing to use his strength to suppress the situation inside. He did not act earlier because he still had a glimmer of hope. But now, it seemed that if he did not deal with it quickly, once the sword chi really slipped out of his control, not to mention the ridicule of the immortal realm, the disciples of the Jade Sword sect would be the first to suffer heavy injuries. Then why did I sense our sect's sword energy in Jiang Chen's body? Gnashing his teeth, Xianyi asked the question out loud. That kid forcefully treated Nian Chang'e, but he didn't expect to get himself involved. Now, we can only save his life. As for what will happen to him, that will depend on his own fortune. Xianjun stared at the sword tomb. Two monstrous waves of immortal qi erupted from his palms, controlling the entire sword tomb. The sword qi was gradually suppressed by him, just as Xianjun was about to breathe a sigh of relief. The dense sword qi suddenly broke free from his control and rushed out of the sword tomb. Nian Chang'e has comprehended the mastery of the myriad sword. Seeing this situation, Xianjun's face was not worried at all. Instead, he had an extremely happy expression. In the many years since the establishment of the Jade Sword sect, only when one comprehended the mastery of the myriad sword could he mobilize all the sword chi in the sword tomb. Congratulations, Master! Mystic One hurriedly cupped his hands and said, the mastery of the myriad sword was the ultimate immortal art of the Jade Sword sect. After comprehending the mastery of the myriad sword, one could quickly comprehend other top immortal arts. He had spent thousands of years to cultivate the heaven-splitting slash, but Nian Chang'e only needed a few days to completely master it. Mystic One was jealous and happy at the same time. After all, even he and Mystic Two could not comprehend the mastery of the myriad sword. No, it's not Nian Chang'e. Xianjun was shocked, but he gradually understood. Nian Chang'e was in a coma, and he was hanging on by his last breath. How could he comprehend the mastery of the myriad sword? Thinking of this, Xianjun looked back. Master? Mystic One asked in surprise. As expected of the disciple chosen by Xianling and Guhua, Xianjun took a deep breath. What do you mean? Mystic One was stunned for a moment, and then his eyes were filled with shock. Master, you mean Jiangchen? Yes, Jiangchen has comprehended the mastery of the myriad sword. Xianjun withdrew his immortal power and looked at the sword chi that was converging toward a certain place in the sect. He shook his head and said, how is that possible? He is not a disciple of the Jade Sword sect, and he has never studied the mastery of the myriad sword in the sword tomb. How could he have comprehended it? Mystic One could not accept it. Xianjun did not reply, but immediately chased after the sword chi. At this time, in the open space of the sect, many disciples had gathered. They were all stunned when they saw the tens of thousands of different kinds of swords surrounding Nian Chang'e's room. In the room, Jiang Chen's immortal power, which was originally out of control, was suddenly suppressed. Just as Lin Baichao and Long Dade were about to go forward to check on the situation, a sword chi that was hundreds of times fiercer than before suddenly spread out. Crack! Nian Chang'e's room was instantly destroyed. Lin Baichao protected Long Dade. With his immortal king cultivation, it was easy for him to block Jiang Chen's fluctuation. Everyone's eyes were focused on Jiang Chen. Even Xianjun stood in midair and looked down with a complicated expression. Master, Jiang Chen is not a disciple of the Jade Sword sect. Even if he is very talented, if he comprehends the profound of our immortal skills, it may cause trouble in the future. Mystic One had a murderous intention. Chapter 1858. What do you mean? Xianjun tilted his head and looked at Xianyi. Master, what I mean is that we should get rid of him now. If we let him live, he will definitely be a threat to the Jade Sword sect in the future. Moreover, he is not a disciple of the Jade Sword sect. If the outside world knows that he has comprehended the profound of our immortal skills, wouldn't it damage the reputation of the Jade Sword sect? Xianyi took a deep breath and said, if not for Xianjun, he would have attacked without hesitation. Jiang Chun is the disciple of the two immortal kings, by Xianling and Guhua. He is also the young master of the 10,000 Creations Immortal sect. He has the support of the Divine Secret Pavilion and the Overseas Immortal Mountain Alliance. Do you think that the Jade Sword sect alone will not cause more trouble after killing him? Xian Jun sneered. But Xian, he was not unaware of this situation. Stop thinking about it. Don't have any plans to attack Jiang Chun in the future. Otherwise, you will get yourself into trouble sooner or later. Xian Jun interrupted him. As the sword chi raged, Jiang Chun suddenly opened his eyes. Tens of thousands of swords gathered behind Jiang Chun, as if they were being guided. Bloodline power? Seeing the phoenix and golden dragon shadows behind Jiang Chun, all the disciples of the Jade Sword sect were stunned. Tens of thousands of swords attached themselves to the phoenix's body like rays of light. Each sword turned into a feather. Look, he has the bloodline power of the Blazing Phoenix clan and the Ancient Void Dragon clan. If you dare to attack him, these two spiritual beast clans will definitely not rest until you die. Could it be that you expect me to protect you? Xian Jun narrowed his eyes and asked in a low voice. How can he have the bloodline power of these two spiritual beast tribes? Xian Yi's heart was in turmoil. He remembered that when he first heard of Jiang Chen's name, the latter had just ascended to the immortal realm and his strength was around the third level of the true immortal realm. However, he had only been in the immortal realm for a short while, and his cultivation had risen so quickly. No, this isn't the power of the bloodline of the ancient Fanshu dragon. Xian Jun looked at the golden dragon shadow behind Jiang Chun and shook his head. It wasn't that he hadn't interacted with the people of the ancient dragon clan before. Their bloodline power was far from Jiang Chen's current purity. Not an ancient magic void dragon? Xian Yi asked. Could it be the sky-swallowing golden dragon? Xian Jun was shocked. When this thought appeared in his mind, he could no longer dismiss it. The aura that spread out from the shadow was indeed purer than that of the magic void ancient dragon. However, didn't the entire heaven-devouring golden dragon clan perish in order to protect that woman? Why did Jiang Chun have the power of their bloodlines? Xian Jun didn't know and couldn't figure it out. However, he believed that by Xianling or Guhua should know something. Otherwise, the two of them wouldn't fight over a disciple like Jiang Chun. The two illusory figures of the spirit beasts only existed for a moment before they slowly dissipated. Those swords, on the other hand, fell beside Jiang Chun. What's going on? After calming down, Jiang Chun looked around in confusion. He remembered that before he lost consciousness, he was sitting in Nian Changa's room. Why did it seem like he had just experienced a great battle when he opened his eyes? Ahem, you almost destroyed the entire Jade Sword sect. Lin Baichao trembled. Only now did he understand why Emperor Qian Ji chose Jiang Chun to be the young master of the sect. He was probably the only person in the entire immortal realm who could comprehend the top immortal skills of other sects with just a flash of sword chi. Oh! Jiang Chun tilted his head with a harmless expression. Let's disperse. Xian Jun came down from the sky. After dismissing all the disciples, he walked slowly to Jiang Chun. He sized him up and then looked at Jiang Chun meaningfully. Immortal King Xian Jun, where's Nian Changa? Jiang Chun frowned slightly. He remembered that before he lost consciousness, Nian Changa was not completely out of danger. His situation is very complicated, but his life is not in danger for now. Xian Jun sighed and said, I'll go take a look. Jiang Chun walked out from the mess. Following behind Xian Jun, Jiang Chun led Lin Baichao and Long Dade to a room on the side. On the way, many disciples of the Jade Sword sect looked over. They still could not understand how Jiang Chun could successfully comprehend the 10,000 swords apex level. Why are they all looking at me? Jiang Chun asked Lin Baichao. You comprehended the ultimate profound of the Jade Sword sect's immortal skill. Don't tell me they're looking at me instead of you? Lin Baichao smiled awkwardly. What is the ultimate lore? Jiang Chun didn't understand. He had already lost consciousness when the two bloodline powers in his body clashed with the sword chi. He only just recovered, so he was not clear about what had happened. The Jade Sword sect's 10,000 swords apex level. Lin Baichao lowered his voice and said, Now that you've comprehended this profound, you can quickly grasp all of Xian Jun's immortal skills and immortal skills. Jiang Chun was speechless. He was just trying to help Nian Chang'e, but he actually got old dog Xian Jun's treasure? In the room, Nian Chang'e was still unconscious. The 72 lotuses had already appeared. He sat in the center of the lotuses. The sword chi in his body had already been forced out by Xian Jun. If it weren't for the 72 lotuses slowly healing his injuries, he would probably have died long ago. Great Elder Lin, please lend a hand. Xian Jun turned his head and cupped his hands towards Lin Baichao. Now that there is no sword chi in his body, I know you must have a way to save his life, or even completely heal his injuries. This, Lin Baichao looked at Jiang Chun. Nian Chang'e is not only immortal King Xian Jun's disciple, but also my close friend in the lower realm. Jiang Chun said in a deep voice. All right, since young master has already said so, then I will definitely help. Hearing Jiang Chun's words, Lin Baichao took out 2 pills from his storage ring and directly put them into Nian Chang'e's mouth. That's it? Xian Jun raised his eyebrows, somewhat surprised. One to save his life, the other to save his cultivation. As for how much he can recover, that will depend on his own fortune. However, immortal King Xian Jun, although this child has 72 lotuses and is considered a rare talent, with his current strength, I'm afraid he is not qualified to cultivate the Jade Sword Sect's 10,000 swords. Lin Baichao nodded and said, Immortal King Xian Jun, I haven't settled this matter with you yet, right? You know that Nian Chang'e's cultivation is not high. Why did you let him take the risk? Jiang Chun snorted and asked. This is a mistake that happened by chance. Xian Jun said indifferently as he looked at Nian Chang'e, who was sitting between the lotuses with his hands behind his back. He did not dare to tell Jiang Chun the truth. Chapter 1859. He didn't dare to tell Jiang Chun that Nian Chang'e had become like this because he saw that Jiang Chun's talent and strength were too strong. He wanted Nian Chang'e to surpass him. So he let Nian Chang'e take the risk to comprehend the mastery of 10,000 swords. However, he didn't expect Nian Chang'e's talent to be so much weaker than Jiang Chun's. Immortal King Xian Jun, it's fine if Nian Chang'e is fine this time. If something happens to him, I'll take him back to the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect. In the future, I'll personally come to ask for an explanation. Jiang Chun stared at Xian Jun for a while and almost said the word old dog. Don't worry, there won't be anything like that. Xian Jun patted his chest and guaranteed. Jiang Chun, you've already comprehended the mastery of 10,000 swords. Strictly speaking, you should be considered a disciple of our Jade Sword Sect. I'm not interested in your sect. Jiang Chun shook his head, then returned the mastery of 10,000 swords. Xian Jun thought for a while and said directly, Now, it was almost impossible to find a disciple stronger than Jiang Chun. Moreover, Jiang Chun had comprehended his immortal technique. It was reasonable for him to be considered his master. You want me to spit it out after eating it? No way. Jiang Chun said with a smile. I won't acknowledge you as my master. Moreover, I'm the great elder of the Flame Phoenix clan. Immortal King Xian Jun extracted my ancestors' inner core. We haven't settled this matter yet. Cough, cough. I've already explained that matter to the Fire Xian clan leader. Xian Jun was embarrassed when he saw Jiang Chun bring up the old score. It's not impossible for me to become your disciple. Jiang Chun rubbed his chin and pondered for a while before saying, Unless you want your Jade Sword Sect to become a subsidiary sect of my 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect, I'll consider it. Jiang Chun, don't go too far. These words completely enraged Xian Jun. As one of the 3 great Immortal King sects, if they were to rely on a newly established sect, wouldn't the entire immortal world see them as a joke? If that's impossible, then it's even more impossible for me to become your disciple. Jiang Chun only used this sentence to block Xian Jun's thoughts. You might have comprehended the mastery of myriad swords, but if you don't accept me as your master, I won't teach you the immortal arts of the sect, Xian Jun said furiously with his hands behind his back. I wasn't interested to begin with. The immortal arts of the white-robed Immortal King and the ancient Immortal King are enough for me to comprehend. Jiang Chun could not be bothered with Xian Jun. After saying this, he walked out with Lin Baichao and Long Dade. What a stubborn little bastard. Looking at Jiang Chen's back, Xian Jun clenched his fists tightly. He really couldn't understand why Jiang Chen could become Gu Hua's disciple after becoming Bai Xuanling's disciple. But when it came to him, he was so repulsed. What he couldn't understand was why all the wrong things he had done were related to Jiang Chen. After knowing that Nian Chang's life was not in danger, Jiang Chen brought Lin Baichao back to the 10,000 Mounts immortal sect on Long Dade's back. Just as he returned, he saw Jiang Yuan sitting at the sect's entrance. "Brother Jiang Yuan, why are you here?" Jiang Chen jumped down from Long Dade's back and walked quickly. "Where have you been?" Jiang Yuan hurriedly stood up and asked. "While you were away, something big happened in the sect." "What happened?" Jiang Chen instantly frowned and asked. "It's not our 10,000 Mounts immortal sect." Seeing Jiang Chen so anxious, Jiang Yuan realized that he had said something wrong. "Tianji Pavilion?" Jiang Chen was even more confused. Tianji Pavilion was Bai Xuanling's sect. Now that Bai Xiaoyan had returned and was in the pavilion, there shouldn't be any problems. "It's not Tianji Pavilion either." Jiang Yuan shook his head. "Brother Long Dade, just say it. Don't beat around the bush." Hearing Jiang Yuan's words, Long Dade felt dizzy. When our 10,000 Mounts immortal sect was established some time ago, something happened to the sect that received the invitation, but didn't come. Jiang Yuan took 2 deep breaths and said calmly, "Love Valley." Jiang Chen's aura instantly turned cold. "Let's go in and talk." Lin Baichao saw the change in Jiang Chen. In the main hall, Jiang Yuan explained the situation. "Which force did it?" Jiang Chen's eyes were cold. In Love Valley, there was Wang Min, whom he owed in his previous life, and Naylan Meir. Although they hadn't joined the current 10,000 Mounts immortal sect, Jiang Chen regarded this sect as important as Tianji Pavilion. Now that something had happened in Love Valley, Jiang Chen couldn't sit still. "I don't know." This news was sent by Tianluo Palace Lord Luo Fu the day before yesterday. "He waited here for 2 days and didn't see you, so he left early this morning. He didn't expect you to come back so soon after he left." Jiang Yuan shook his head. "Brother Jiang Yuan, send Great Elder Lin back to the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy." Jiang Chen took a deep breath and said, "Dade, come with me to the snow region. I'm an immortal king. I can go back by myself. I don't need anyone to send me." Lin Baichao waved his hand. "Great Elder Lin, let Brother Jiang Yuan send you back." Jiang Chen said in a deep voice. This time, Nian Chang'e had invited him over. He couldn't let him go back to the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy alone. Seeing that Jiang Chen was so persistent, Lin Baichao didn't insist. "Don't we need to mobilize some experts from the sect?" Long Dade thought of the many experts behind the 10,000 Mounts immortal sect and asked. "It's too late." Jiang Chen patted him on the shoulder. It would take at least 10 minutes to reach Tianji Pavilion. It seemed short, but Jiang Chen didn't want to waste even a minute. He just wanted to hurry to Love Valley and see what was going on. "All right, I'll send you there." Long Dade walked out of the hall and turned into a dragon. He carried Jiang Chen and disappeared into the horizon. Looking at the disappearing dragon, Jiang Yuan realized that he might have done something wrong. "Great Elder Lin, what do you think is the relationship between Love Valley and Young Master?" Jiang Yuan clenched his fist nervously. "Should I have told him this earlier?" "He went to Jade Sword Sect." "Did you know?" Lin Baichao asked. "I didn't know. He left in a hurry and asked me to take care of the sect." Jiang Yuan shook his head. "Then it has nothing to do with you. But the young master really has a hard life. He had just walked around the Jade Sword Sect, and now he is met with new troubles. I really don't know when he will be able to stop and rest." Lin Baichao sighed and said, "Let's go, Great Elder Lin. I'll send you back to the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy." Jiang Yuan walked down the stone steps and said. Chapter 1860. Snow Region. With Long Dade's help, Jiang Chen quickly arrived. "Damn, it's really cold here." Long Dade, who had transformed into his human form, couldn't help but shiver. "If you feel cold, you can go back first." Looking at the familiar town, Jiang Chen said and hurried over. How can a member of the dragon tribe be afraid of the cold? Seeing that Jiang Chun was in low spirits, Long Dade didn't want to continue joking and quickly followed him. After passing through the town, Jiang Chun saw the sacred mountain. The sect was still standing on top of the mountain, and he could see that the sacred mountain was still split in half by him. Young master? Before they passed through the town, someone walked out of the pub and stopped Jiang Chun. Palace Master Luo, it's been a long time. Jiang Chun turned around and sneered at Luo Fu. It seems that Palace Master Luo has forgotten what you promised me. Young master, what are you talking about? Luo Fu's face changed. Palace Master Luo is still in the mood to drink and eat here after such a big thing happened in Love Valley. Isn't that right? Jiang Chun walked into the pub and saw many disciples of Tian Luo Hall yelling and shouting. You wanted to kill them? Go do what you were supposed to do. Luo Fu's face froze, and he hurriedly shouted at the disciples. After the disciples rushed out of the tavern, Luo Fu explained with an embarrassed smile, Young master, you really misunderstood me. We just took a break and were about to eat something when we bumped into you. Oh. Then, Palace Master Luo, what have you done? Jiang Chun sat in front of a table and looked at the wine jug and plates on the table. He couldn't help but sneer. Young master, we have been following your orders to protect Qingju Valley. Since the day you left Shuiyu, we have never let our guard down. But this time, things have gone beyond our abilities. The second and third elders of the palace have all died here. Luo Fu couldn't help but sigh. The 2 elders of your sect are also gone? Jiang Chun frowned slightly. That's right. Both of them are 3rd-level immortal venerables and live comfortably in the town with their disciples. When the incident happened, there wasn't even any news about it. It was only because I didn't receive their timely report that I sent someone here to inquire about the situation. Luo Fu nodded and explained the situation. Who made a move against Love Valley? Jiang Chun asked. I don't know. Ever since I returned from the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect, I have been investigating this matter. However, I didn't manage to find anything. Luo Fu's expression was one of helplessness. Let's go to Love Despair Valley and take a look. Jiang Chun knew that he would not be able to get any valuable information from Luo Fu. Under the watchful eyes of the Heavenly Azura Palace disciples, Jiang Chun and the other 2 walked towards the Saint Mountain. On the way, Jiang Chun could clearly feel the residual waves of immortal power. One could imagine that there must have been a fierce battle here. However, what Jiang Chun did not understand was who would make a move against the Love Valley. Black Sect? But after kidnapping Hikari, the sect master of Black Sect had even given up on the Corpse Cliff. How could he make a move against Love Valley? Other than that, the only ones who would dare to make a move were those forces that he had offended in the immortal world. It was just that it had been too long, so Jiang Chun found it hard to remember. Moreover, if it was really them, they should have gone directly to the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect. Why would they make a move against Love Valley? While thinking, Jiang Chun walked into Love Valley. What he saw was a scene of devastation. So serious. Long Dade sighed. It seems that the Force should want Love Valley to disappear completely. Seeing that the main hall had collapsed, Jiang Chun took a deep breath and said slowly, Sect Master Wang Min of Love Valley, Great Elder Heartless Qingzi, and the other elders have all disappeared from the sect. Many disciples have been killed or injured. Those who were injured have all been placed in the town below by me, Luo Fu said. Is there someone called Nalen Mayer? Jiang Chun turned back. No. Luo Fu shook his head. Young master, forgive me for speaking the truth, but the disciple you're looking for has most likely died in battle and is buried here. Find her. Even if you have to turn the entire Love Valley upside down, you must find her. Jiang Chen's mouth twitched. If he had known that this would happen, he would have brought her back to the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect when he met her. Luo Fu did not dare to say anything and could only run into the sect. Go and call all the disciples of the Tian Luo Palace in the town. Let them follow me. Jiang Chen stopped Luo Fu and ordered. Yes, young master. Luo Fu stopped and turned to run out of the sect. Taking a deep breath, Jiang Chen closed his eyes. However, he did not sense Nalen Mayer's aura. Immediately, He controlled the 10 directions to deduce the whereabouts of Nayland Meir. However, during the deduction, it was as if he was in a fog. He could not get any valuable clues at all. Phew, he sighed. Do we look for her? Long Date asked. Of course. Let's split up. Even if we have to dig the entire sacred mountain, we must find her. Jiangchen nodded and said, what if we can't find her? Looking at the messy Love Valley, Long Day knew that the chances of finding her were very slim. If we can't find her, it means that she has been taken away by the other party. Jiang Chen said lightly. Okay. Long Day nodded and immediately rushed in. 2 hours. 4 hours. Even the disciples of the Tian Luo Palace rushed in. This group of people searched the entire Love Valley. They even found the prison hidden in the mountain. Standing in the cave, Jiangchen looked at the people in front of him whose cultivations were sealed, and they were tied to a stone pillar. Big brother, did we do something wrong? When these people saw the gloomy Jiangchen, they were so scared that they could not speak. Squinting at them, Jiangchen asked in a low voice, who are you? What's the force behind you? Tell me everything you know. Tell me honestly. Brother, we have been trapped here for a long time. It has been at least tens of thousands of years. We don't even know which sect or family we belong to. These people smiled bitterly and shook their heads. There was not a single ray of light in the pitch-black cave. Even if they hadn't seen anyone enter for thousands of years, their willpower had long been worn away. Not to mention which sect they belonged to, they might not even be able to say their current names. Bring them back. It might be the doing of the power behind them. Jiang Chen waved his hand. He would not let go of any possibility. Yes, young master. A few disciples of the Tian Luo Palace went forward and brought them out. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.